Imagine if one of the most powerful ancient books of wisdom was purposely left out of the Bible. The Book of Enoch contains shocking secrets about fallen angels, heavenly messengers, and warnings so dangerous that religious authorities kept them hidden away for hundreds of years. Despite every effort to destroy it, this strange manuscript survived, and its dark secrets are waiting. But before we begin, if these ancient stories bring you peace tonight, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to help our channel grow. It truly helps us. Tell us where you are listening from tonight in the comments. Now let us begin our journey back in time. The book they tried to destroy. High in the dusty hills of Ethiopia during the late 1700s, a discovery was waiting that would change history forever. A British explorer stood inside a dark ancient monastery. His hands trembled as a silent monk passed him a thick stack of old parchment. The monk whispered that this text had been guarded for generations. The traveler did not know it yet, but he held a book hidden from the world for over 1,600 years. It was a text so dangerous that rulers once ordered every single copy burned. A story so wild that some claimed it should never be spoken aloud. This was the Book of Enoch. For centuries, it was just a rumor whispered in secret by old scholars. They knew the book was real. It had deeply shaped what early believers once thought. But the actual pages had vanished, hidden away for reasons nobody could explain. Why did a book cause such fear? What did it say that had to be buried? The answers lie inside. There are stories of angels leaving heaven to marry human women, and tales of giant children who destroyed the ancient earth. It speaks of battles in heaven, hidden dimensions, and silent beings watching us from the stars. This was not just folklore. To many early believers, this was real history, the true story of how our world fell from grace. Enoch tells us of the Watchers, powerful angels who fell from grace and taught humans the dark secrets of warmake and magic. It shows them chained in darkness, maps out heaven, and describes God's fiery chariot. No wonder it terrified the powerful rulers of the day. This was not just a forbidden book, it was an unmapped road to a much larger universe. Stranger and more alive than many could accept, but even while being erased, something very strange happened. Fragments of Enoch's stories still echo in our modern Bibles, his angels appearing in religious art and dreams. The long history of the Book of Enoch is the haunting story of an ancient idea that proved absolutely impossible for any earthly power to destroy. Of words that waited in the dark until people were ready to hear them again. And now, after centuries of silence, Enoch speaks once more, not as a dusty relic, but a living voice from the dawn of faith. It challenges us to look up at the stars and wonder what else has been hidden from us. The lost book has come back, and things may never look the same again. Tonight we will follow Enoch's path. We will meet the angels who fell from the sky. We will face the giants who once walked the earth, and look behind the veil hiding God's throne. And maybe, just like that traveler in the dark monastery long ago, we will find that some forbidden books hold not evil, but truths we were not ready to face. What is this secret book that stayed hidden for so long? The Book of Enoch is not just one story, but a whole library of visions bound together. It is a window into the beliefs of ancient people who looked up at the very same stars we see tonight. At its heart, the book claims to share the words of Enoch, great-grandfather of Noah. The Bible only gives him a few brief words. Enoch walked with God, then he was gone because God took him. This hint of a man escaping death to enter heaven alive sparked intense curiosity in ancient minds. The ancient manuscript we have today was probably written down between 300 and 100 years before Christ. Its oldest stories lived on for generations before that. Written mostly in Aramaic, it was read by Jewish families who were searching for God's plan while living under the harsh rule of foreign empires. What makes the Book of Enoch unique is its design like a grand house with many rooms. It has 5 main parts, each with its own mood and message. First is the Book of the Watchers, the most famous section of all. In this part, we meet the holy angels who abandoned their sacred homes in heaven, drawn down by the beauty of human women. Their fateful choice to break this sacred boundary brings disaster, not just to them, but to everyone on earth. This part also takes us on a journey through heaven's halls, guided by angels who show Enoch the fiery throne of God. Next, the Book of Parables talks about a coming judge, a son of man, who will right every wrong at the end of time. Many scholars believe these words set the stage for ideas that later defined the Christian faith. The astronomical book might seem dry, carefully charting the paths of the sun and moon. But look closer and you will see a cosmic clock, a way to mark holy days and live in tune with heaven's own rhythm. In the dream visions, Enoch describes strange dreams where human history plays out like a fable of sheep, wolves, eagles, and oxen, each representing real nations and empires. Finally, there is the Epistle of Enoch, a letter written to guide people living through the dark days before the final judgment. Through every section runs a single powerful message that our world is much more than what we can see. That just beneath our everyday lives, massive forces move in patterns laid down by God, where human choices echo in heaven and heaven shapes earth in return. To the ancient souls who first told these stories, the Book of Enoch was no fantasy. It was hidden history, secret knowledge, passed down from a man who stood in the very courts of God, a map to help explain why our world holds both beauty and brutal pain. What makes this text so powerful is how it fills the empty spaces in the stories we learned as children. Where the scriptures only whisper about fallen angels, Enoch names them and exposes their deeds. Where prophets view God's throne from afar, Enoch claims he stood right next to it. Where others warn of a vague judgment, Enoch paints the very fire that burns. This is not just some dusty scroll found in a far-off desert. It is a missing piece that changes the whole picture. A forgotten chapter from the dawn of faith, helping us see clearly what once lay hidden in the shadows. It was banned, buried, and finally resurrected. How does a text known across the ancient world just vanish? The story of how Enoch fell from grace is just as strange as the secrets written inside it. In the earliest days, the Book of Enoch was highly prized among holy writings. Jewish rabbis routinely quoted from its pages. Early church fathers praised it. Even the New Testament Book of Jude treats it as real prophecy, quoting Enoch directly by name. But by the 4th century, things began to shift. As church leaders worked to enforce one strict set of belief scrolls that did not fit their vision were cast aside. Strange tales of angels and other worlds raised too many dangerous questions for the faithful. In the year 367, Bishop Athanasius of Alexandria wrote down a list of the only books he considered Holy Scripture. The Book of Enoch was left out. Other church councils followed his lead, and soon the line was drawn. Some books were welcomed in, while others were shut out. Why was Enoch rejected? Some believe its wild descriptions of fallen angels clashed with the church's new ideas about where sin came from. Others say its claims about God and the heavens simply did not match what the priests wanted people to believe. A few thought the book looked far too similar to other heretical writings that were spreading actual falsehoods. Whatever the true motive, the result was absolute. Scribes stopped copying the text. Libraries let their old manuscripts crumble to dust. Soon, the book that once guided how people viewed the stars faded from memory. Yet, not everyone let it go. In one quiet corner of the world, far from the reach of the bishops and their decrees, Enoch survived. High in the mountains of Ethiopia, an ancient form of Christianity took deep root, and they still held this text as sacred truth. Here, in a land of ancient faith and even older peaks, scribes copied Enoch's words by hand, page by page, century after century. Time marched on. Great empires rose and fell, and the outside world completely forgot what it had lost. Then came a moment that changed everything. In the late 1700s, a Scottish explorer named James Bruce traveled deep into Ethiopia, searching for the source of the Nile. While there, he found something just as precious. 3 intact copies of the lost Book of Enoch, still read and protected by local monks. Bruce brought one copy back to Europe. At first, almost nobody noticed. It was written in Ge'ez, an ancient tongue that nearly no one could read. But whispers began to spread through the universities. This was not just a strange curiosity. This was a holy book everyone thought had vanished forever. In 1821, an Oxford professor named Richard Lawrence published the very first English translation. Suddenly, after more than 1,000 years of complete silence, Enoch spoke to the West. What followed was a slow, steady rescue from the dust. More copies turned up. Better translations followed. Scholars finally realized just how deeply this book had shaped the minds of early believers. Then, in the mid-1900s, archaeologists digging near the Dead Sea found fragments of the oldest known copies of Enoch. Written in Aramaic, these scraps proved the book was no recent forgery, but a genuine ancient writing, loved by Jewish communities before the time of Christ. Today, the Book of Enoch has found a new kind of life, not as holy scripture read from a church pulpit, but as a window into a forgotten way of seeing heaven and earth. Its angels and cosmic visions now fill movies, books, and art. Its warnings about dark forces still ring true to those watching the struggle between good and evil today. The text they tried to burn has risen, and readers find not some strange cult writing, but a lost chapter in our long struggle to understand the bright stars above us and the deep shadows dwelling inside our own hearts. Enoch, the man, the patriarch, the legend. Before we turn the pages of his strange book, we have to meet the man himself. Who was Enoch, and why did people believe he alone could tell these cosmic secrets? In the book of Genesis, Enoch is just a whisper, a brief entry in a long list of ancestors. He was the 7th descendant from Adam and the father of Methuselah, the man who would live longer than anyone else in Scripture. But what makes Enoch different is how his life on earth ended. Enoch walked with God. Then he was gone because God took him. Unlike everyone else in his family line, Enoch never died. He simply vanished, taken while still alive. That tiny hint sparked centuries of wonder in the minds of those who came after. What did it actually mean to walk so closely with God? Where was Enoch taken? And most of all, what did he actually see in that other world? Over the years, Enoch grew from a simple name on a genealogy chart into a towering legend. Jewish writers before the time of Christ called him the first human to ever write down holy words. Some claimed he taught humanity how to read the stars and map the heavens. Others believed he held the secret, unutterable names of God himself. According to the Book of Jubilees, another ancient manuscript, angels taught Enoch the secrets of time, weather, and the movement of the stars. It claims he was the first to write books of wisdom for future generations. In this light, Enoch was far more than just a good man. He was the first prophet, the first scribe, the first to map the sky. Over time, his image as keeper of cosmic secrets grew. By the 1st century, many Jewish and early Christian writers saw him as someone who had actually entered the throne room of God, and lived to tell the story. Some even suggested he became an angel, the mighty Metatron, the great scribe of heaven. Christians often paired Enoch with Elijah, who also went to heaven without dying. Some believed both would return in the end times to face the forces of darkness. Others saw Enoch as proof that humans could, by living holy lives, rise above their earthly limits. But his legacy goes far beyond Jewish and Christian traditions. In Islamic teachings, he is known as Idris, a prophet honored for his deep wisdom and patience. Muslim writings state he was the first to use a pen and study the stars. Some stories tell how he was taken to heaven after death to live again in God's presence. Even in places where his book was banned, the memory of the man lived on in art and folklore. Medieval plays showed him rising to stars. Renaissance painters placed him among the clouds. Parents named their sons after him, hoping they would also walk closely with God. A single thread connects all these different views of Enoch. He is the man who crossed the border between earth and heaven and lived to tell the story. He witnessed what others could only wonder about. This stands as proof that the gap between humanity and the divine can sometimes be bridged. Maybe that is why his memory endures. In a world of strict borders between body and spirit, life and death, Enoch remains the exception, the traveler who went beyond seeing things never meant for human eyes. And in his story, people find hope that they might also one day see past the veil, that death is not the only doorway to the afterlife, that heaven might at times reach down and lift chosen souls to walk its halls while still living in the flesh. As we turn now to the book named after him, we have to keep this in mind. No matter who actually wrote these words down over the centuries, they claim to reveal what Enoch saw. They ask us to look through the eyes of a man who, for reasons known only to God, was allowed to see the inner workings of our world, the fires that light up the stars, and the throne at the absolute center of everything. The descent of the Watchers. Now we enter the heart of the book, the story of the Watchers. This tale is the core of what made this text both loved and feared. It speaks of a time when the border between heaven and earth grew thin, and beings of light made a choice that would cast dark shadows across history. It starts with the Watchers' angels sent to observe the young world. 200 of these powerful spirits stood at their posts in the heavens, gazing down at the early earth and its people. Their duty was to observe, to protect, and to keep the ways of heaven separate from earth. But as they watched the growing tribes of humans, something stirred in these angels that was never supposed to wake. They looked at the daughters of men and saw how beautiful they were. Led by Semyaza, these Watchers made a pact to leave their posts and assume flesh. They would go down to earth and marry human women, a choice that brought deep dread even to angels. Semyaza worried he would bear the blame alone if their plan unleashed God's anger. So he told his fellow angels, "Let us all swear an oath. Let us bind ourselves with a curse, not to abandon this plan, but to finish what we started." And on the peak of Mount Hermon, 200 angels swore a dark oath to follow their desires, regardless of the cost. They came down to earth in the days of Jared, Enoch's father, and took wives. These strange unions produced children, but they were not human. They were the Nephilim giants with limitless size and hunger. But the Watchers did far more than father monstrous sons. They began teaching humanity secrets that heaven had kept hidden. Azazel taught men how to make weapons of war, from swords and knives to shields and armor. He showed them how to work metals and craft jewelry. Semyaza taught them spells and how to gather plants for magic. Amaros taught how to undo spells, Barakal explained stars, and Kokabel revealed heavenly signs. Others taught the signs of the earth, the path of the moon, and how to paint eyes. Each angel passed on some forbidden secret, skills that humans were never supposed to have. At first glance, these gifts might seem helpful. What is the harm in learning to shape metal or track the moon? But the Book of Enoch shows these as the seeds of ruin. Weapons brought violence. Beautiful jewels fed human vanity. Magic turned hearts away from trusting God, pointing them towards spells instead. It was not just that the Watchers had crossed a line. They brought down a heavenly fire that burned everything it touched. They gave power without wisdom, knowledge without love. Before long, the earth groaned under the weight of new sins. The giants born from angels and women ate everything in sight, crops, beasts, and finally humans. They drank blood and fought one another in their endless hunger. These skills taught by the angels were used for war, greed, and vanity. The memory of the first murder, Cain slaying Abel, now grew into wars between whole tribes. Simple lies became deep systems of deceit. The world slid toward total chaos, all because of a single choice by those who were meant to watch, not interfere. High in heaven, other angels looked down. The archangels Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel saw what was happening and heard the cries of a suffering humanity. They carried those desperate prayers straight to the throne of God. Look at what Azazel has done, how he taught every kind of sin on earth and revealed the secrets kept in heaven. Enoch's account ends with the gaze of heaven shifting back toward the world. Not with love this time, but judgment. The Watchers had sown the wind. Now they and the entire world would reap the whirlwind. This ancient story carries a warning we still feel today. Some boundaries are never meant to be crossed, and when heaven and earth mix, without divine blessing, they bring ruin instead of glory. Knowledge without love, power without wisdom, and unrestrained passion only breed monsters instead of joy. And yet this dark tale holds a strange, quiet comfort. Even when angels fall, God does not abandon the earth. When the Watchers fail, new messengers are sent. The world may fracture, but the one who made it never truly forgets it. Then came the Nephilim, the ancient giants. The world was young when they walked the earth. Colossal beings, half human and half divine, they cast long shadows over the ancient hills. Their story begins with a forbidden love. Angels were drawn to the beauty of human women. These were not the gentle giants of fairy tales. Enoch tells us they stood 300 cubits tall. That is nearly 500 feet. Even if that is just ancient exaggeration, they still towered over ordinary people. Imagine looking up at a creature 3 times your height with strength to match. The word Nephilim itself comes from a Hebrew root meaning the fallen ones, or those who trip others up. And fall they did. They were not heroes but monsters. Enoch is brutally direct. They turned on birds, beasts, reptiles, and fish, eating each other's flesh and drinking blood. A peaceful world suddenly faced predators unlike anything seen before. Their hunger knew no bounds. When plants and animals were not enough, they turned on humans. Enoch says they devoured mankind, preying on every living thing on land and in the sea, feeding on flesh and drinking the blood. It was not just hunger. These giants stripped the earth bare. Picture entire forests being leveled, rivers running dry, and animal herds wiped out just to feed creatures who were never satisfied. This story is not unique to Enoch. Genesis 6 mentions them briefly, noting that the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God came to human women. They were the mighty men of old. But where the Bible offers only a single verse, Enoch fills in the dark details. Legends of giants exist across the globe. Greek myths recount the titans fighting the gods, while Norse tales speak of the Jotnar, powerful mountain-sized beings. Native American tribes tell of giant cannibals who hunted humans. Are all these stories memories of the exact same history? Were ancient people trying to explain fossil finds, or was it something else? These giants left more than stories behind. Some point to massive stone ruins that seem impossible for humans to build. Others cite ancient reports of oversized weapons and armor. The Bible itself mentions the iron bed of Og, king of Bashan, which was over 13 feet long. Their violence spread to every corner of creation. The entire world was ruined by the secrets Azazel taught, and the blame for all this sin lies with him. As the world buckled under their endless hunger, heaven watched. The cries of mankind finally reached the throne of God. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel looked down in absolute horror. The giants were more than a physical threat. They were living proof of a violated cosmic boundary where divine and human mixed to make something that should never have been. Keeping cosmic order was sacred. These giants were chaos made flesh, proving that physical size and sheer power do not make a person truly strong. Real strength comes from goodness and wisdom. The giants had power, but they wasted it on cruelty, and for that, a reckoning was coming. We still tell stories about giants, some friendly but most terrifying. Their memory remains etched in our minds. Maybe these tales echo a primal fear that something stronger could swallow up everything we love. When we read Enoch's account, we see a warning about unchecked power and endless greed. The giants were doomed not by their size, but because their hearts were small. Before the Watchers came, humans lived simple lives. They planted crops, tended animals, built basic shelters, and raised their families. Life was hard, but honest, guided by natural rhythms. Then everything changed. The Watchers did not just take wives, they became teachers, offering a dark kind of knowledge humanity was never ready to handle. Azazel taught men to forge swords, shields, and armor. Before this, conflicts were simple. Now, death could strike quickly, with cold, calculated cruelty. Wickedness spread everywhere. People turned to lust, wandered far from the truth, and corrupted everything they touched. Semyaza taught sorcery and the secrets of roots. Amoros showed how to break spells, while Barakel taught astrology. Kokabel read the stars, Ezekiel explained the clouds and weather, and Arakiel showed the signs of the earth. Shamsiel taught the paths of the sun, and Sariel the moon. Every new secret pushed humanity further from innocence. Women learned to adorn themselves with precious gems, painting their faces and altering their natural looks. Enoch describes them wearing fine bracelets, rings, and eye makeup made from dark dyes and the fairest stones. This went much deeper than simple vanity. It was a total shift from inner character to outward show. Soon, humans began copying the violence of their giant neighbors. They turned their new weapons on animals, then on each other. Blood soaked the dry earth. Families turned on families. Tribes went to war. What the Watchers brought was far more than just new tools. It rewired the human mind. Suddenly, nature was no longer a home to live in, it was something to conquer. Animals became mere targets, not companions. Neighbors became rivals, not kin. The ancient texts tell us that as people perished, their desperate cries reached heaven. This rot spread like a plague. Almost no one was left untouched. Some secrets brought instant ruin, like weapons built for swift slaughter. Other secrets were a slow poison. Stargazing turned into a source of fear, replacing the quiet beauty of the night sky. Herbal secrets sometimes healed, but they also created dangerous addictions. Yet nothing compared to the secrets of metal. Humans learned to tear open the earth, melting stone until it ran like water to rewrite the landscape. This discovery would echo through all human history. The angels had shattered heaven's trust. Secrets meant to be uncovered slowly over millennia were dumped into human minds overnight. It was like handing a burning brand to an infant. The outcome was both brilliant and devastating. The Book of Enoch does not hate knowledge itself, but rather knowledge stripped of wisdom. The Watchers taught humans how to act, but never if they should. As this poison spread, the earth itself began to suffer too. Beasts turned wild, crops rotted, even the seasons broke down. The entire world groaned under the heavy burden of chaos. The ruin went far deeper than physical decay, it was spiritual. Humans began worshiping these watchers as gods, entirely forgetting the Creator who set the stars in motion. They traded truth for raw power and wisdom for cheap tricks. Heaven watched as the green earth became a bloody battlefield. The gift of free will had devolved into utter chaos. Divine patience is vast, but it is not infinite. That warning still echoes. Knowledge without wisdom destroys, power without goodness corrupts, and progress without purpose leads nowhere worth going. As modern humans split the atom, edit genes, and map the mind, Enoch's warning still whispers to us. Not everything that can be known should be known, not until we are strong enough to carry it. Enoch's call. While the world drowned in violence, one man chose a different road. Genesis puts it simply, Enoch walked with God. 300 years of daily choices, choosing peace over blood, wisdom over clever tricks, and mercy over raw power. Enoch was no king, nor was he a warrior. The ancient records call him a scribe, a keeper of books and numbers. While the world reached for swords, he held only a reed pen. Picture a quiet man with rough weathered hands and serious eyes. While others fought for gold, Enoch watched the night sky, tracking the seasons and teaching his children to listen rather than speak. His life was not perfect. He lived in the very same world as everyone else, a world where giants stalked the hills and violence choked the valleys. Yet something set him apart. Where others saw threats, he saw patterns. Where they heard noise, he heard music. One night, as he slept, his entire world changed. The ancient texts tell us that when the numbers of humanity grew fair and beautiful daughters were born to them, and when the angels, the sons of heaven, looked down and desired them, Enoch was chosen not for royal blood or physical strength. He was chosen simply because he still knew how to listen. The summons came without warning. No thunderous call from above, but something much quieter. A dream, a sudden presence, a deep knowing. Two men stood before him, towering figures unlike anyone he had ever seen on earth. Their faces blazed like the sun, their eyes like burning lamps. Flames spilled from their lips. Their clothing looked like feathers, and their feet glowed purple. Their massive wings shone brighter than gold. These were not the fallen watchers, but holy angels, loyal to the throne, speaking with voices like rushing waters. They told him not to fear, calling him a scribe of righteousness. They commanded him to tell the fallen watchers who had abandoned heaven that they would never find peace. Imagine the sheer weight of that task. A fragile human sent to deliver a death sentence to ancient beings of light. It was like a child reprimanding giants. Yet Enoch obeyed. The old writings say he went and sat by the waters of Dan, southwest of Mount Hermon, waiting in the quiet. He read their long plea until sleep overtook him. When he woke, the hills and the sky looked exactly the same, but Enoch was entirely changed. He was now a bridge between worlds, a messenger crossing between planes. His first task was to track down the fallen watchers. They were not hard to find. Their dark fingerprints were everywhere. Confronting them took unbelievable courage. The texts describe Enoch traveling to their stronghold, only to find these former gods trembling in absolute terror. Fear and trembling gripped them completely. Even cast out from heaven, they were still beings of staggering ancient power. Yet they saw in this mortal something they had lost forever, a connection to the divine. They begged Enoch to speak to God on their behalf. These entities, who once stood before the throne, now needed a mortal man to plead for them. The roles had flipped. The conquerors were now begging for mercy. Enoch heard their desperate confession. They admitted sharing forbidden secrets, taking human wives, and breeding the brutal Nephilim. They knew judgment was near, but begged for mercy. With their dark confession heavy in his soul, Enoch prepared for a far greater journey. Not across the dusty earth, but far beyond it. He would be carried to heaven to deliver their plea and bring back God's final answer. This was his turning point, from quiet scribe to cosmic messenger. His story shows that anyone, no matter how quiet or ordinary, can be swept up into an extraordinary divine destiny. The humble scribe was now the voice bridging heaven and earth. The man who walked with God would soon walk directly inside God's own majestic dwelling. His journey began in deep darkness. Enoch writes that they carried him to a place filled with intense burning fire. Whenever they wished, these beings could shapeshift, appearing sometimes as flesh and blood men, and other times as columns of pure, blinding energy. Enoch was carried far beyond the familiar world, over mountains and oceans, straight into domains no other human had ever seen. They lifted him into heaven. Then I reached a crystal wall surrounded by tongues of fire. No map on earth could ever find this place. He had crossed over to where thoughts took physical shape and time lost its grip. Standing before the throne, Enoch brought the Watcher's plea. But heaven already knew what they had done. The archangels had been watching. Every human tear had been counted, and every drop of blood spilled by the Nephilim was witnessed. Judgment came. Not with angry shouts, but quiet, heavy certainty. Go tell the Watchers who sent you that they should pray for humanity, not ask humans to pray for them. The fallen ones hoped Enoch would save them. Instead, he brought their doom. The verdict was clear. You lived in heaven, but you never learned its deepest secrets. You only knew worthless things, and in your hardened hearts you whispered them to women. Now, because of those secrets, humanity spreads evil across the earth. Their punishment would match their crime. They broke sacred boundaries, so boundaries would now cage them. They corrupted the earth, so it would never welcome them back. Bind Azazel hand and foot and throw him into the dark. Tear open the desert floor and drop him inside. Pile sharp, jagged rocks on top of him. Keep him there forever and cover his face so he never sees the sun. For beings made of pure light, darkness was the ultimate terror. For spirits born to be free, chains were incredibly heavy. For those who stood near God, separation was agonizing. Every watcher received his sentence. Some were bound in valleys, others thrown into fire. They would all wait long ages for the final day of judgment. The Book of Enoch paints a terrifying picture of their prison. He saw a massive pit, framed by pillars of fire, plunging down to depths no human could ever measure. This was more than just physical pain. It was a spiritual exile, the direct consequence of their choices. They chose darkness in their hearts first. Now their physical reality finally matched their soul. This judgment was not just about punishment, it was about shielding the innocent. While those watchers roamed free, humanity stood no chance at peace. But what about their giant offspring? The Nephilim had to face justice too. The spirits of those giants oppress, corrupt, and wreck the earth, bringing endless grief. They do not eat, they never thirst, and they remain unseen. These invisible spirits will turn on human men and women because they were born from them. But unlike their fathers, the Nephilim would find an end. The giants are slaughtered and destroyed. Their spirits will flee their bodies as their flesh rots away. Even here there was mercy. The rot would end. The world would be washed clean, offering a fresh start. Enoch watched this holy trial with human eyes. He witnessed a kind of justice humans could barely grasp, balancing mercy and truth. The faithful angels told Enoch, "As God lives, this judgment has gone forth, and his sentence cannot be resisted." Some modern readers find this harsh, but Enoch shows us a universe of absolute balance. Actions have consequences. Boundaries matter. Power demands real responsibility. Those watchers did not fall because of one simple mistake. They knowingly broke ancient law over and over. They brought endless agony to innocent lives. They bent the natural order until it almost snapped. This story reminds us that in the end, justice always finds a way, even if it takes generations. No force, no matter how great, sits above the law holding the universe together. Deep beneath mountains that appear on no human map, past valleys no explorer has ever mapped, lies a dark prison. Its walls are not stone. They are made of reality itself. Its bars are not metal, but a divine decree. This is the ancient jail from the Book of Enoch, built to hold heavenly beings who rebelled. Enoch saw this otherworldly prison clearly. He wrote that he traveled to another place far more terrible, where he witnessed horrifying things. A massive fire blazed there, and the ground cracked open to a deep abyss where giant pillars of fire came crashing down. He could not see where it ended or where the fire began. Unlike human prisons meant to reform, this place was built simply to contain. The Watchers had immense power and knowledge. They could never be held by human means. Their prison had to sit partly outside of time itself. The ancient text describes different holding cells for different offenders. Take Azazel, the one who taught humanity warfare and vanity. God ordered them to open the desert and throw him inside, covering him with sharp rocks and heavy darkness. For Semyaza, who led the rebellion, bind them for 70 generations beneath the earth until the day of final eternal judgment is reached. These were not mere metaphors, they were real. These were dark places where fallen angels would wait out the long ages. Today we might wonder where this prison actually is. The Book of Enoch says it lies at the very edge of the earth, far to the west. But these were not physical directions. They were spiritual coordinates where our world meets the unseen. And the prisoners were not just the 200 watchers. They were also ripped away from their children. The bodies of the Nephilim would die in the great flood, but their spirits remained trapped between worlds. Enoch warned that these spirits would rise up to terrorize human men and women because they were originally born from them. These became the entities later traditions called demons, bodiless things searching for physical form. The cosmic jail had many different levels. Some cells burned with unending fire, others were pitch black. Some prisoners were bound with impossibly heavy chains, while others were held by barriers they could not even see. These were not normal chains. Enoch calls them incredibly heavy. Some believe these were not physical chains at all, but bounds of divine energy locking down the very essence of these spirits. The guards were not human. They were loyal, holy angels assigned to watch the fallen. Chief among them was the archangel Raphael, whose name means God heals. His presence suggests this prison actually had a healing purpose, keeping the infection of rebellion from spreading. We see this cosmic jail mentioned in other ancient texts too. The New Testament's second letter of Peter mentions angels held in chains of darkness for judgment. The Book of Jude also speaks of angels who abandoned their proper domain, leaving their own home behind. Now they are kept in everlasting chains under darkness, waiting for the judgment of that great day. Are these just shared myths, or are they glimpses of the very same spiritual reality? The overlapping details across cultures suggest these tales tap into something deep within our spiritual awareness. Their prison sentence was set for 70 generations, a highly symbolic number representing a complete age. The Watchers had to stay confined until the very end of this world cycle. Only then would final judgment come. Unlike human prisons meant to reform, this cosmic jail existed simply to lock away. True reform would not come through simple punishment, but through witnessing, watching the terrible consequences of their actions ripple across generations of human history. The most painful part of this cage was how much it contrasted with their former freedom. These entities once soared between stars, standing directly in the divine presence. Now they were confined, limited, and bound, experiencing for the very first time what it felt like to be restricted. Their heavy sentence carried a clear message: freedom without responsibility is no freedom at all. It is pure chaos. True freedom actually requires boundaries built on respect for natural laws and divine order. This cosmic jail reminds us that justice outlives human lifetimes. Some debts take ages to pay off. Some deep wounds require eons to heal. But in the spiritual economy Enoch describes, balance always returns. Disorder eventually yields to order. Darkness always gives way to light. Michael, Raphael, Uriel, Gabriel. The archangels enter and the skies darken. Heaven stirs. The great archangels step forward. Long before they became familiar fixtures in global religion, these celestial beings appeared in Enoch's writing as cosmic enforcers. God's justice demands real action. The rogue watchers have crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. Michael, whose name asks who is like God, commands the heavenly hosts. Raphael, meaning God heals, is heaven's medicine bearer. Uriel, light of God, keeps wisdom and warning. Gabriel, strength of God, is heaven's messenger of both doom and hope. Enoch tells us these four stand before the throne, watching the earthly corruption with growing alarm. Human cries reach heaven day and night. The whole earth is soaked in blood and wickedness. The ancient text says, "The giants devour everything mankind can produce." They consume birds, beasts, and reptiles. When food runs short, they turn on humans, and when humans aren't enough, they begin to eat each other. Then God speaks. His voice rolls like thunder through the heavenly court. The Ancient of Days commands to go to Noah, son of Lamech, and tell him what is coming. He alone will escape with his sons. Gabriel receives this task. He must warn the righteous man to build his ark. Raphael is commanded to bind Azazel and cast him into darkness. The healing angel must first extract this infection. He must throw rough, jagged rocks upon him, covering him with darkness. There he will remain forever, his face covered so he cannot see the light. This heavy punishment comes first because Azazel taught humans violence through metalwork, showing them exactly how to forge deadly weapons. His forbidden knowledge unleashed endless bloodshed. On the day of judgment, Raphael will be cast into the fire. Next is Uriel's task, as the angel of wisdom must warn the son of Lamech. He must explain the coming devastation, warning that no corner of creation will escape the flood. But Michael, the mightiest angel, receives the heaviest charge. "Go, Michael, and bind Semyaza along with his associates who have mixed with women and completely defiled themselves. Once they have witnessed the destruction of their own beloved children, bind them for 70 generations in the earth's valleys until the final day of judgment and great consummation." 70 generations, a prison sentence far beyond human reckoning. This is no quick execution, but a slow, agonizing wait. Those who thought themselves completely beyond time will now feel every single slow second crawl by. The angels bow their hard missions clear. Heaven's engine of justice rumbles into motion. Enoch witnesses this divine counsel, seeing exactly how heaven responds to crisis. This is far from mindless destruction. It follows strict procedure and careful deliberation with specific roles assigned to specific angels. The archangels depart, each to their own solemn duty. They flash like lightning across the vault of heaven, wings stretching wide. Their blinding light strikes anyone who might glimpse them. Michael is the first to descend. His massive presence makes the earth tremble. Mountains shift and forests bend as he seeks out the rebel angels gathering in the deep valleys. Raphael follows closely, carrying chains no created being could ever break, forged from elements that existed before the world itself began. Darkness swirls around him, ready to entomb the teacher of forbidden wisdom. Uriel's light flashes in warning, and those with eyes to see recognize the signal. Most humans, lost in their own corruption, notice absolutely nothing. Gabriel approaches Noah. The righteous man falls on his face at the sight of the celestial messenger. "Stand up," Gabriel tells him. "Heaven has great plans for you." Enoch records these scenes with pure awe. The machinery of divine justice moves with a precision far beyond any human court. There is no appeal here, no plea bargain. The sentence will be carried out exactly as decreed. When their heavy tasks are complete, the archangels return to their places around the throne. They stand as living symbols of God's will fully enacted, serving as models for later religious traditions, beings of absolute purpose, power, and unwavering duty. Behind them, bound tightly in their separate prisons, the silent watchers await final judgment. Their giant children face total destruction in the coming flood. The age of human-angel interaction comes crashing to an end, and heaven seals itself off. The hard lessons have been taught, boundaries are re-established, and earth must face the cleansing waters. This flood is like a cleansing fire. Though water and fire seem like total opposites, yet in Enoch's vision, this deluge burns like flame. It cleanses, it purifies, and it completely destroys whatever cannot be saved. In Enoch's telling, the world before the flood is a place of monstrous corruption, where human sin merges with angelic rebellion. The natural order is broken far beyond normal repair. God speaks to Enoch, telling him to look upon the earth and see what the watchers have done. Everything is corrupted. The giants consume and destroy without end. Water is no longer just rain. It becomes God's tool of total renewal, unleashing cosmic forces. The windows of heaven fling open. The fountains of the deep burst open. Water from above joins water from below. All of creation joins in this sweeping cleansing. Noah labors on his ark, while archangels finish their work nearby. Those imprisoned watchers can only look on as the end draws near. Part of their torture is watching their own beloved children die. They will be destroyed by the deep waters, Enoch writes, recording the divine decree. A flood will cover the earth for 1 year. Nothing survives except those inside Noah's ark. The Nephilim, those mighty giants born to human mothers and angelic fathers, face total extinction. Their physical bodies will drown in the depths. Yet Enoch tells us their spirits will remain. This is where we see the roots of later ideas about demons. The spirits of these fallen giants will drift like clouds. The ancient text warns that they will corrupt Phalphite and bruise the earth. They will bring deep sorrow. They will attack struggle and tear at the world. They will eat nothing, yet they will hunger, thirst, and bring ruin. The flood does not actually destroy all evil. Instead, it turns physical monsters into spiritual ones. These giant Nephilim become the disembodied demons of later lore, hungry ghosts searching for bodies. The water rises. The cleansing begins. For 40 days, the rain pours down without pause. Water climbs higher than the tallest mountain peaks. Everything outside the ark dies. With prophetic vision, Enoch watches it all. He sees the world before, during, and after this massive cosmic cleansing. He knows this is not some random act of destruction, but a precise cutting away of rot. In Enoch's writings, the lost world is preserved to warn us. When the borders between heaven and earth collapse, chaos follows. When knowledge comes without wisdom, disaster is never far behind. Only Noah's family survives. Just 8 people left to rebuild human civilization. Through a year of endless floods, the ark shields them. Animals are with them. Life is kept safe in the jaws of death. When the waters drain, God makes his covenant. Never again will water destroy all living flesh. The rainbow seals this promise. Yet Enoch's vision reaches far beyond this single moment. Water washed the world clean the first time. Fire, he warns, will do it next. From all rot, from every sin, from all pain and judgment, the earth will be healed. Enoch records God's promise that he will never send such destruction upon the earth again for all generations to come. For Enoch, the flood story holds a much deeper meaning than what we find in Genesis. It marks the end of the fallen angels' direct influence on human history. It draws a hard line between heaven and earth. It turns physical evil into something unseen and spiritual. Most of all, it shows God will not abandon his creation. Even in destruction, life is saved. Humanity's future continues through Noah. The animals carry on their kinds. Green plants sprout once more. Life starts over. Enoch's version of the flood goes way beyond 40 days and 40 nights. He sees it as a 12-month cycle of endings and new beginnings. The new world looks the same, but it has changed forever. The locked-up watchers remain chained in dark ravines. The spirits of their giant children now wander as formless shadows. Humans rebuild without angels interfering. A new era begins. The world from before the flood slowly fades into myth and memory. What would be lost is saved in Enoch's testimony. God's judgment, the foolishness of angels, and the healing of creation. Now we reach the very heart of Enoch's book. 3 powerful visions, 3 parables about ends and new beginnings. Leaving the ancient flood behind, Enoch looks forward. He sees the final chapter of human history. His gaze pierces through the curtain of time. Enoch calls this the second vision of wisdom. These are far more than just predictions. They show us the grand machinery of judgment, rescue, and transformation. Each parable unfolds with striking imagery. Each holds warning and hope. Together they form the spiritual heart of the entire book. The first parable looks directly at heaven, its great crowds, its holy residents, and its deep mysteries. Enoch sees where the righteous live. He watches where the holy ones rest after they die. He spots the hidden Messiah waiting to be revealed. The second parable focuses on the day of judgment. The mysterious Son of Man appears. Kings tremble with fear, the righteous celebrate, and every secret is laid bare. The final parable reveals the reward of the good and the doom of the wicked. Light and darkness split completely. New heavens take shape. A restored earth is ready for those who are worthy. These visions do not come to Enoch in order. They bend and loop back. They show different sides of the same reality. Past, present, and future bleed together. Enoch tells us he saw the secrets of heaven. These are not distant predictions, but eternal truths already set in stone. From heaven's view, what will happen has already occurred. 4 distinct features set these parables apart. First is their massive scale. Enoch looks far beyond earth to all of creation. Second is their focus on goodness and judgment. Heaven's standards apply to everyone. Third is the idea of heavenly scrolls, where every single action is recorded. Nothing escapes God's notice. Fourth is the arrival of a Messiah to deliver ultimate justice. The parables speak in deep symbols. Beasts represent nations. Stars represent angels. Great mountains represent empires and rulers. To understand, you must have spiritual eyes. Who can read the mind of God, Enoch asks, and who can see like angels see? Still, these parables try to translate heavenly truths into human words. Later on, religious leaders found these chapters unsettling. Their apocalyptic fire threatened institutional authority. The descriptions of the Messiah seemed too detailed, too radical. But for the early followers of Jesus, these parables meant everything. The Son of Man stands beside the Ancient of Days, a pre-existing figure chosen before creation itself. These visions deeply shaped how early Christians understood things. Before the sun and stars were made, before heaven's powers were created, his name was chosen before the Lord of Spirits. Enoch writes about this messianic figure. We see almost identical language in later Christian texts about Christ. These three parables work like windows into heaven's perspective. They show time as God sees it, not sequential, but as one whole. They show justice as heaven understands it, complete and absolute. Enoch gets these visions while still in his earthly body, a detail the text emphasizes over and over. A mortal man gets to see what normally only the dead can look at. I was carried up in a vision, he explains. I saw the holy ones of heaven. Having this direct access to divine secrets is exactly what makes his story so credible. These parables are Enoch's greatest legacy. Their rich imagery shaped Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, while their vision of cosmic justice sparked movements through the ages. Look at apocalyptic writings throughout history, and you will find echoes of Enoch's three parables. Their reach goes far beyond their original time. Even today, when people imagine the final judgment, heavenly rewards, or the Messiah's arrival, they are often unconsciously using imagery born in these ancient texts. We see the righteous one, our first glimpses of a Messiah. A figure emerges from the blinding light, not quite an angel, but more than a man. Enoch watches him and asks his angelic guide, "Who is this?" "This is the Son of Man," comes the reply. "The one who holds all righteousness and with whom righteousness lives." Here, centuries before Christianity, we find a picture of the Messiah that would reshape history. This very title, Son of Man, would become Jesus' favorite way to describe himself. This image of a heavenly figure bringing the final judgment completely rewrote Jewish expectations of the coming Messiah. In Enoch's first parable, this mysterious figure stands right next to the head of days, another name for God. He is not waiting on him like a servant, but sitting in absolute power and equality. Enoch notes his face was filled with grace like a holy angel. Yet he is no ordinary angel. This figure actually passes judgment on the angels themselves. 4 distinct traits defined Enoch's Messiah. First, he existed before time itself, named long before the sun and stars were ever created. Second, his flawless goodness. He is in perfect harmony with heaven. Third, his role as the ultimate judge. Kings and rulers shake with fear in his presence. Fourth, he is the chosen one, handpicked by God to rule over everything. This Son of Man you see will tear kings and rulers from their thrones. He will break the power of the strong and shatter the teeth of sinners. These words were dangerous and revolutionary. In a world crushed by brutal empires, Enoch saw God completely flipping the balance of power. The Messiah would turn the world upside down. The first would become last, and the last would become first. This heavenly Savior arrives with a double purpose, justice and rescue. For the good, his coming means ultimate vindication. For the corrupt, it brings sheer terror. Enoch writes that he will drag kings from their thrones because they refused to praise or honor him. They never thanked the one who gave them power in the first place. This cosmic judge sees every secret. Nothing escapes his eyes. He judges more than actions, he weighs motives. He sees our deeds and our deepest thoughts. During those times, the earth will yield up its dead, and the grave will return what it took. The chosen one will sit on my throne. This means the resurrection of the dead happens when the Messiah arrives. Everyone must face judgment, living and dead. Heaven's books are thrown open. Every single life is closely examined. Fascinatingly, this heavenly figure blends ideas that were once completely separate, showing divine traits while remaining distinct from God. He holds absolute authority, yet receives it from someone else. He exists before time, but only shows up at the very end. He will judge the actions of the holy ones in heaven, weighing their deeds on a scale. Even the angels must face his court. The rebel watchers locked away until the great day will receive their final sentence from him. Their temporary chains will turn into eternal punishment. To early Christians, these passages seem to describe Jesus perfectly. The writers of the Gospels borrowed heavily from this exact imagery. Jesus himself clearly knew and referenced these Enoch traditions. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, Jesus says in Matthew's Gospel, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. The connection to Enoch's vision is absolutely undeniable. This Messiah also brings deep comfort to the suffering. He wipes away every tear, establishing justice where brokenness used to rule. He restores the world to what it was meant to be. With this Son of Man, they will live, eat, sleep, and rise forever and ever. The good will spend eternity by his side. Their reward is not just staying alive, but living in close friendship with God's messenger. Although later Jewish and Christian teachings would build on these ideas, the roots are right here in Enoch's parables. A heavenly Messiah, an ultimate judge, a protector of the good, a pre-existing Savior stepping into history at its climax. For the first people who heard these words, they offered a hope that went far beyond daily suffering. Kings and empires might rule today, but their power was fleeting. The true king was waiting in heaven. His arrival would set everything right. The Ancient of Days and the heavenly court far beyond the stars, beyond time, a throne of blazing fire. Enoch's vision continues as he watches the Ancient of Days, God himself, presiding over heaven's court. White hair, like pure wool robes white as snow, and eyes like blazing fire. Millions stood before him as Enoch recorded. 10,000 times 10,000 attended him. Countless multitudes encircled the throne, angels of every rank waiting for the Ancient One's instruction. Forget human courts with their messy, conflicting stories and shaky verdicts. This courtroom operates with absolute truth. The ledgers lie open before the judge. Every single deed is written down, every whisper saved, every hidden thought held in heaven's perfect memory. The court sat, and the books were opened. That is what Enoch tells us. Centuries later, these exact words would echo in the Book of Revelation, carving this terrifying celestial courtroom into our minds. Near the Book of Life, where salvation or ruin is decided, 4 rivers surge from beneath the throne, but they flow with fire, not water. Angels of vengeance stand waiting. The dark chambers of judgment are ready for their prisoners. I looked, Enoch says, and saw a towering throne. It looked like pure crystal, its wheels glowing like the blazing sun, and rivers of fire poured from beneath it. Yet the Ancient of Days does not judge alone. The Son of Man sits right beside him. Together they weigh every human action. Together they deliver the final verdict, reward or ruin, life or the second death. Enoch watches what no other mortal has ever seen. The entire host of heaven assembled. Angels of every order take their places. Principalities and powers stand ready. Then the head of days approaches, flanked by Michael and Gabriel, along with Raphael and Phanuel and tens of thousands of angels without number. This great gathering has a very specific purpose. The hour has come to judge the fallen watchers. Their temporary chains will now become eternal shackles. Their 70 generations of waiting are finally over. One by one, the watchers step forward. Each hears his doom. There is no appeal. No mercy is shown to those who corrupted the earth and taught humanity forbidden secrets. Here, the dark riddle of evil gets a partial answer. Why does wickedness endure? Why do good people suffer while the cruel seem to prosper? Enoch has an answer. Delayed justice is not denied justice. The court of heaven gets the last word. The Ancient of Days arrived, and judgment was handed to the holy ones. The moment came for the faithful to possess the kingdom. This is a radical idea. Heaven's reign moves down to earth. It is not just about punishing the wicked, but rewarding the faithful, not escaping this world but completely renewing it. Heaven's court sets the ultimate standard for earthly justice. True records must be kept, evidence weighed, witnesses heard. Verdicts must reflect actual truth, not the influence of the wealthy or the powerful. In those days, the earth will yield up everything entrusted to it, and Sheol will return what it has held. Resurrection is the first step of the great reckoning. Those who died long ago will stand before the throne, body and soul, united to face the final verdict of heaven. What stands out most in Enoch's vision is that justice is certain. No bribe can sway the Ancient of Days. No clever lie can trick the Son of Man. No earthly power can resist heaven's final decree. For ancient people trapped under brutal rulers, this vision offered a deep, fierce hope. Tyrants and emperors might escape human courts, but the ultimate tribunal waited for them. The broken would be vindicated, and the corrupt would pay. In those days, the angels will gather and charge eastward, driving straight toward the Parthians and the Medes. They will throw their kings into a panic, sparking a spirit of deep unrest that drags them from their thrones. Earthly empires will crumble, and heaven will reign supreme. The trial Enoch witnesses sets up a total cosmic renewal. Evil judged, goodness rewarded. The world made whole again. When the first Christians talked about the day of the Lord, they used the exact imagery first described in these ancient pages. The Ancient of Days on his burning throne, the ledgers wide open, angels assembled, sentences handed down. And Enoch watched it all happen. He sees right through the veil of history, returning with both a warning and a promise. A reckoning is coming for everyone, but rescue waits for the faithful, the chosen, and the elect. Night settles over ancient Judea. Above, stars shine like cold silver points against the dark sky. Inside a dim room lit by small oil lamps, a scribe carefully inks these words onto parchment. These are the secrets of Enoch. Words that will one day be hidden away, feared by some, treasured by others. Who will be saved at the end of the world? Who will face the fire? These questions have haunted us since we first looked up at the night sky. The Book of Enoch offers answers that shaped how major religions would view salvation for centuries. In his second parable, Enoch describes a chosen one sitting on a glorious throne. This mysterious figure would echo down through the ages, building the foundation for messianic hope in many different traditions. The text calls him the Son of Man. It is a title that would later fill the Gospels, used by Jesus himself. In Enoch's vision, this chosen one stands before the Ancient of Days. This figure of blinding light sits on a throne of fire. Here, long before the New Testament was ever written, we see the roots of what Christians call the Second Coming. Enoch painted a picture of a final judge who would separate the good from the bad. What makes his vision so striking is how sharply it divides humanity into just two camps, the chosen and the doomed. There is no middle ground in this courtroom. Those who follow God's law join the chosen few, while everyone else faces a terrible sentence. But these elect are not chosen because of family, money, or label. In Enoch's vision, everything comes down to how a person actually lives, their real actions, their mercy, their loyalty to the paths of heaven. Power and wealth mean absolutely nothing at the final tally. In one deeply moving passage, Enoch shows how the prayers of the good rise like smoke to the sky. Nothing is lost. Not a single kind act fades away. The cosmos itself remembers who showed mercy, who shielded the weak, who stood firm in the dark. The chosen find their names written in heavenly books, cosmic ledgers tracking every single life. These records would later shape how Jews and Christians understood the final judgment. Even today we talk about the Book of Life, a concept born right from Enoch's ancient vision. What makes Enoch's view of the chosen so radical is how it ignores earthly power. Kings and beggars stand equal before the throne. That message was incredibly powerful for Jews living under foreign rulers, for early Christians facing Rome, for anyone crushed by the powerful. In his vision, brilliant light floods the homes of the chosen. Their faces shine like the sun. Their eyes burn with an inner fire. Here, salvation is not about escaping the world, but transformation. It means turning into beings of pure light while remaining fully human. The chosen live forever in Enoch's vision, sharing endless days alongside the Son of Man. This vivid picture of eternal life shows up here long before other Jewish writings embraced it. Enoch marks the moment when the hope for real justice shifted from this earth to the next. Many scholars believe these passages about the chosen deeply shaped early Christian thought. The hidden book whispered its secrets down through the centuries, offering cosmic justice when earthly courts completely failed. In moments of deep darkness, knowing that someone kept score of both good and evil deeds brought comfort to the suffering. What does it mean to be chosen? Enoch tells us to walk in the light, to show mercy, to keep faith with heaven even when all seems lost. His vision reminds us that, in the grandest scheme of things, the view from outside time itself. What truly matters is how we treat one another on this short journey. Secrets of time and space. The night sky turns slowly over the desert. A lone figure stands below, watching the stars trace their paths. Enoch, seventh from Adam, sees far beyond what ordinary eyes can see. His visions cross the border of our world, moving into spaces of light and shadow. The Book of Enoch takes us on a cosmic voyage unlike any other ancient text. It pulls back the curtain between worlds, revealing secrets of time and space that challenged its first readers and still blow our minds today. Enoch tells us that he saw the winds that turn the sky and gazed upon the storehouses of snow and chambers of hail. His journey through the heavens reveals a cosmos pulsing with purpose, where nothing happens by accident. Every single star has its exact place. Every season follows a divine plan. Angels guide Enoch through places no human eye has ever seen. He walks through crystal palaces where time itself is woven like thread. He sees the first heaven, then 6 more beyond it, each more beautiful than the last. These 7 heavens would later shape how several major religions picture the structure of creation. In the highest places, Enoch sees wheels of fire spinning within wheels, the cosmic gears driving the universe forward through time. This vision would later inspire the prophet Ezekiel and countless other mystics trying to grasp how the divine will works in our world. Remarkably, these visions seamlessly merge science and spirit. Enoch carefully maps out the paths of stars, the orbits of planets, and celestial rivers, yet he sees them as far more than just natural phenomena. They reveal the mind behind everything, the deep design, woven right into creation itself. In one breathtaking moment, Enoch stands at the very edge of the earth, where heaven meets our world. He sees massive doors in the sky where the sun rises and sets. He watches stars climb out of cosmic portals at their set times. The universe runs like perfect clockwork in his vision, and time itself looks different through Enoch's eyes. He speaks of days before days, a state where past, present, and future flow together like rivers meeting the sea. He sees the scroll of the future unrolled before him, written long before time began. This view of eternity deeply shaped how later faiths understood God's complete knowledge. Enoch's travels take him far beyond the north, where he finds mountains of precious gems, sapphire, ruby, and emerald. These are not just riches, but the very foundation blocks of higher worlds. Our physical universe, in his eyes, is just a shadow of something far greater. In these visions, light itself has real substance. Angels wear garments of pure light like fabric. The throne room of the Almighty, burns with a blinding light that would crush mortal eyes. This view of light, as both physical and spiritual, heavily shaped how later traditions pictured the divine presence. Perhaps most striking are the places where spirits wait between life and death. Enoch sees massive hollow mountains where souls rest until the day of judgment. Some rest in peaceful sleep, others know only darkness. Here we find the earliest seeds of beliefs about purgatory, paradise, and other waiting places that would grow in later religions. Water flows from beneath the throne of glory, flowing in rivers of mercy that feed all of creation. Fire burns without destroying. Air carries prayers like birds soaring toward heaven. The natural elements themselves hold deep purpose in Enoch's cosmic vision. What does this ancient map of heaven mean for us today? Maybe it reminds us that reality goes much deeper than what we can see. There are patterns behind patterns, meanings within meanings. The cosmos in Enoch's vision is never cold or random. It is alive with purpose. A book for those who learn to read its signs. As stars spin overhead and time flows past like a river, Enoch's visions invite us to look deeper. Beyond this visible world lies another just as real, but hidden from sight. For those who have eyes to see, heaven touches earth at every moment. Our ordinary world shimmers with hints of something much bigger. Final judgment for kings and tyrants. The palace gleams with gold and marble, guards stand stiff as stone. Inside, a king is trapped in a dark, restless dream. Though walls protect him and armies obey his command, an unseen force fills him with dread. The Book of Enoch targets this very fear. Back then, no scroll challenged earthly rulers quite as boldly as the visions of Enoch. Other texts merely whispered that kings ought to be fair. Enoch shouts that every ruler, everyone with power over others, faces a reckoning from heaven itself. He saw those who rule the land, those whose words make mountains shake. These mighty rulers build massive palaces and carve their names deep in stone. They truly believe their power will never fade. Yet Enoch sees what actually awaits them, and it is terrifying. In his vision, the kings of the earth stand completely naked before the throne. No crowds cheer for them, no servants flatter them. Their crowns mean nothing, and their wealth cannot buy safety. Those who ruled by violence find that raw power is useless in the heavenly courtroom. Writing this was incredibly dangerous, because back then, speaking against a king meant instant death. These ancient words declared that heaven kept a careful record of every royal sin. Every crooked judgment, every stolen acre, every weeping widow, all recorded in books that no human king could ever burn. Enoch promises that the mighty will be dragged from their high thrones. This bold message brought hope to poor farmers crushed by heavy taxes and forced labor. It warned rulers that their power came with a high price in heaven. No wonder so many kings wanted this book banned. In one amazing part, angels show Enoch a deep valley where these rich rulers will be thrown. Their silk robes cannot save them there. Their gold stays in the dirt. Nothing remains but the true nature of their souls and the heavy weight of their deeds on the scales of justice. The proud learn humility too late. Those who never knelt must bow down. Those who showed no mercy find none waiting for them. The scales of the universe balance themselves in Enoch's vision, settling the debts that human courts chose to ignore. This great judgment is absolute because it strips away all human rank, noble birth, riches, fame, none of it matters. Only who you are inside remains. A simple shepherd who cared for his sheep stands far higher than a tyrant who ruled with fear. Their faces will be covered in deep shame. The text tells us of these fallen kings. It is not physical pain, but the sheer agony of seeing clearly, maybe for the very first time, what they have done and who they really were. This shame burns hotter than any fire in that heavenly courtroom. Yet this judgment is not just about punishment. It is about exposing the truth. Kings who ruled fairly find honor. Rulers who shielded the weak hear praise from the angels. Power itself is not evil in Enoch's eyes. Only the abuse of power triggers the anger of God. The Book of Enoch speaks truth to power across the centuries. It warns leaders that a much greater judge is watching their every move. It promises the poor that real justice lies far beyond the reach of crooked officials and threats. This truth was so dangerous that those in power tried to wipe it out. When the first Christians facing the power of Rome read these verses, they found the strength to stand firm. When poor peasants in the Middle Ages whispered about Enoch's vision, they saw their struggles in a grand cosmic light. Even now, these words remind us that power without justice will always fall. As darkness falls and the palace torches grow dim, the king lies awake. Something troubles his sleep, maybe the echo of Enoch's warning whispering down through time. No stone wall is high enough to shut out the truth. Every ruler must one day face the reality of what they did and who they became. We turn now to resurrection and the afterlife. Sunset paints the evening sky in deep amber and gold. Long ago, people watched the sun slip below the horizon and wondered, where does the light go when darkness falls? Where do we go when our own spark fades? The Book of Enoch gives answers that completely changed how we view death. Before Enoch had his visions, most ancient Jews had only a vague idea of what lay beyond this life. The oldest scriptures speak of Sheol, a dark, silent place where the dead are just fading shadows of themselves. Not really heaven, not really hell, just a quiet, gray existence without joy or pain. But Enoch changed everything. His visions revealed something revolutionary, that death is not the end, but a door. The body goes back to the dust, but the soul travels on. This new view would go on to shape how Christians, Muslims, and many others imagine the afterlife. Enoch tells us that he saw the places prepared for the good, depending. These are not dark shadows, but places of pure light where the holy walk forever. Here the good find a joy that goes far beyond earthly pleasure. Their rewards match the kindness they showed while alive. What makes Enoch's vision so striking is how physical it feels. This is not about ghosts floating in clouds. He shows us resurrection, the dead rising with transformed bodies that are still truly theirs. They eat the fruit of wisdom. They drink from flowing rivers of light. Heaven in this book is a real place you can actually touch and taste. The good do not just get by in these visions. They glow. The text tells us their faces will shine with pure joy. This idea of the righteous becoming beings of light would later inspire Christian stories of saints and Islamic views of paradise. What starts with Enoch flows through many religions. In his detailed vision, not everyone stays dead until the final day of judgment. The most holy already walk in paradise. Others sleep deeply, waiting for the final trumpet to sound. And some wander as spirits caught in between worlds. These different paths would go on to shape how many cultures picture the long journey of the soul. Most shocking of all is Enoch's view of physical resurrection. Bone will join to bone, he tells us, watching the dead stand up whole once more. This clear picture of physical life after death appeared here long before other Jewish writings took hold of it. Enoch marks the moment when hope reached past this world and grabbed the next. In Enoch's vision, justice lives on after death. Those who suffered for no reason finally find comfort. Those who cried find true joy. Tears are wiped away, and old wounds heal. The scales of the universe balance in ways we can barely imagine. In one moving passage, Enoch shows how those who died for the truth receive special honor. Martyrs, those who gave up their lives instead of betraying what is right, shine brightest in the next world. This truth gave courage to countless people facing death for their faith. The mysteries of death lose some of their sting in these ancient pages. Enoch shows us that nothing good is ever truly lost. No kind word vanishes forever. No quiet act of mercy goes unseen by the eyes that watch over all things. What we build in love outlasts our temporary bodies. In Enoch's vision, time beyond the veil slows down. 1,000 years pass like a single day. A single moment stretches to hold eternity. Those who cross over find themselves standing safely past the rushing river of time that sweeps the living along. Past, present, and future bleed together there like mountain streams joining the great sea. What waits for us when our breath stops and our hearts grow still? Enoch offers hope across the ages. Not empty darkness, but full radiance. Not an end, but a brand new beginning. The sun sets, yes, but only to rise in a place where no shadow falls. As stars appear in the darkening sky, Enoch's words whisper to us, death is a doorway, not a barrier. Beyond it waits a justice truer than earth has ever seen, and a joy deeper than our brightest days. This ancient vision still brings comfort when we stand at the edge of mystery, facing whatever waits beyond the light we know, the second death and the eternal fire. A storm breaks over ancient hills. Lightning splits the sky like cracks in the world itself. In dark, fire-lit caves, scribes write down Enoch's heavy visions. These warnings of reckoning would shape how many religions picture final justice. This ancient book does not shy away from showing what waits for those who choose darkness over light. These vivid images of judgment would go on to shape Jewish, Christian, and Islamic views of hell. These are not easy visions to hold, but they are part of Enoch's legacy. He tells us, I saw a deep valley burning with fire. This place of fire appears constantly in his visions, a place where those who refused to show mercy find none waiting for them. The text calls this the second death, not just the body's end, but something far deeper and more final. What stands out in Enoch's vision of judgment is how it balances the cosmic scales. Those who cause suffering now feel it. Those who showed no mercy receive none. Those who love darkness live in it forever. The punishment fits the crime, with a perfect justice that no human court could ever deliver. Angels holding whips of fire drive the wicked toward their fate in these old writings. These are not demons, but agents of God's justice, carrying out sentences against those who hurt others without regret. Much later, Dante would draw on these images for his Inferno, showing circles of hell where the punishment mirrors the sin. The lost must cross a bridge over an abyss in one haunting scene. Those who lived righteously cross over safely. Those weighed down by evil deeds slip and plunge into rivers of fire below. This image of a judgment bridge would later appear in Islamic traditions as the Sirat, a path as thin as a single hair over hellfire. Unlike later medieval visions of torture chambers, Enoch's view of punishment has a clear purpose. It is not pain for pain's sake, but the natural result of choices made in life. Those who built walls between themselves and others find themselves shut out from the light. Those who hated now burn in a much more literal way. Kings and rulers face a unique agony in these visions. Their authority cannot save them, and their wealth buys no comfort. Those who did the most damage with their power face the heaviest judgment, a warning that echoes through time to anyone who rules over others. In one striking scene, the lost look at paradise but cannot reach it. Watching the joy of the good from far away only deepens their regret. What hurts the most is not the physical pain, but the clear realization, seeing at last what might have been and what they threw away by their own choices. Even time moves differently in these places of punishment. What feels like eternity might not be. Some passages hint at eventual mercy, a fire that purifies rather than just destroys. Later readers would argue intensely over whether Enoch's fire means endless torture or something else entirely. The Book of Enoch does not celebrate these scenes of judgment. They are delivered with deep sadness, with stark warnings, and with pleas for people to choose a better path while they still have time. The text stresses that these outcomes can be avoided by living upright, loving lives. What makes these chapters so powerful is not just the fear, but the promise of real justice. In a world where the corrupt thrive and the good suffer, Enoch promises that the final tally will set everything right. No wrong deed goes unnoticed. No harm done to another is erased from the record. Rivers of fire flow here, but so do rivers of mercy. Darkness has its domain, but it cannot conquer the light. Evil has its fleeting moment, but never the final word. Even in these heavy chapters, Enoch's message holds seeds of hope that all of creation slowly bends toward ultimate justice. The storm clears, rain washes the hills clean, and the scribes finish writing down visions of both light and dark. Enoch's words would echo through the centuries, shaping how countless people face the great questions of life. How should we live? What waits beyond? Will justice ever truly come? As dawn breaks over ancient hills, the core message remains. Our choices matter. They echo far beyond the brief span of our days. What we build with our lives, whether walls or bridges, prisons or quiet gardens, goes with us into a place where all hidden things finally come to light. Enoch, the astronomer. The stars have always watched over us. Long before we ever built tools to study them, they guided our ships, marked our seasons, and filled our stories. But few knew their secrets like Enoch. In a forgotten part of his book lies something incredibly strange. No simple tales of angels or end-time visions here, just meticulous notes on the night sky. We call it the astronomical book, and it reveals a side of Enoch we rarely talk about. Enoch, the stargazer. This ancient text holds one of the oldest known calendars. It is not just a simple tally of days, but a complete system for tracking time itself. Enoch mapped the sun as it traveled through 12 massive portals in the sky, counting the days of every month with absolute precision. He watched the moon wax and wane, tracking its soft light. The astronomical book was no hobby. To Enoch, the sky was the Creator's perfect timepiece. Every sunrise and every phase of the moon showed a divine plan at work. As the stars marched along their paths, they proved that God's laws never wavered. If they ever strayed, it meant trouble down below. And his calendar was nothing like our modern one with its 12 neat months. Enoch tracked a solar year of exactly 364 days rather than our 365 and a quarter. It was not a mistake, it was intentional. That number divides into 4 seasons of exactly 13 weeks each. Perfect, clean, divine. This mattered more than we might realize. In his world, a flawless calendar was the key to flawless worship. The right prayers on the right days, the right festivals at the right times, a holy rhythm matching the heartbeat of heaven. But then Enoch noticed something deeply unsettling. The lunar calendar, driven by the moon, did not align with his solar year. The two drifted apart over time. Some groups followed the moon, others the sun, and so their sacred days fell on completely different dates. To Enoch, this was no minor scheduling issue. It struck at the very heart of faith itself. How could God's people worship together if they could not even agree on when to do it? How could they obey divine law without agreeing on which day was actually holy? The astronomical book issues a stern warning against those who lose their way by following the moon. For Enoch, wrong dates meant wrong worship, and wrong worship shattered the covenant. We can find clues here of bitter real-world battles in Enoch's era. The temple priests in Jerusalem constantly fought over which calendar to live by. Some clung to the ancient lunar traditions, while others pushed for the solar calendar Enoch championed. These were not just dry debates for ivory tower scholars. They dictated when everyday people fasted, celebrated, and prayed. Enoch's celestial wisdom went far deeper than just counting days. He mapped the actual orbits of stars and planets. He recorded how they rose and set in different spots as the seasons shifted. For every month he calculated exactly how long days and nights should be, down to fractions of an hour. This was not the work of a dreamer, but of a tireless observer who sat up night after night measuring. He saw patterns where everyone else saw only random specks of light. He believed that within those cosmic patterns lived the very mind of God. Many scholars believe the astronomical book might be the oldest part of Enoch's writings, with roots stretching back to the 3rd century before the Common Era, or even earlier. Long before telescopes and computers, Enoch and his contemporaries built a true science of the heavens, armed only with their eyes and endless patience. What stands out is how Enoch joined together what we now keep strictly separate. To him, studying the stars was no different than studying Holy Scripture. The same mind that tracked planets received holy visions. The same eyes that measured moonlight looked upon the throne of heaven. Today, we divide these worlds. Science goes here, faith goes there. Astronomy in one room, theology in another. But Enoch saw no such walls. The math of the universe and the mercy of God were woven from the exact same thread. Picture him on those ancient nights. No lights but the stars, no tools but his eyes, counting days and tracking phases. He filled clay tablets and papyrus sheets with careful markings, never imagining his notes would survive for thousands of years, never dreaming that we would still be reading them today, even as our modern tech peers into galaxies he never could have imagined. This ancient book reminds us that Enoch was more than just a mystic. He was an analyst who built systems. He was not just a prophet repeating divine words, but a student translating God's handwriting across the cosmos. His calendar did not survive. His stellar portals are not on our maps. Yet that hunger to find order in the vast blackness lives on in every modern observatory. It lives in every star chart we draw, and in every effort to anchor our brief, fragile lives within cosmic time. Whenever we look up on a clear night, we stand right where Enoch stood beneath those same stars, asking the same fundamental questions. How does it all work? What does it mean? And how do these cold, distant lights speak to our brief lives on Earth? For Enoch, the answers came through slow, quiet observation, night after night, season after season. It was the kind of deep looking that slowly ripens into wisdom, a wisdom linking Earth to heaven. That connection is what eventually transformed a regular man into something almost beyond human. The next time you watch the moon swell to full and then shrink to nothing, think of him. Think of the man who counted its phases and found not just a clock, but the blueprint of creation. He was a man who understood that genuine worship meant paying attention, watching the world not just with blind faith, but with absolute precision. He saw in every single sunrise not just bright light, but divine law. Imagine mapping the heavens with the archangel Uriel as your personal guide, taken by the hand and led through the cosmos. Your teacher is no ordinary man, but a being of blinding splendor. This was Enoch's reality when the angel Uriel took him on a journey to unlock the secrets of the skies. The name Uriel translates to the light of God, or the fire of God. Among the heavenly hosts, he is the guardian of wisdom and the master of universal truth. Out of all the angels, Uriel was chosen to show Enoch the inner workings of the universe. Their long journey begins right at the very edge of our world. Uriel points toward the sun, telling Enoch to watch it carefully. The sun does not rise and set by random chance. It travels through massive portals built into the dome of the sky, 6 in the east where it rises, and 6 in the west where it sets. "Look," Uriel explained. "In summer the sun passes through the northern portals, and in winter it uses the southern ones. That is why the days stretch long, then shrink, then grow long again." These seem like simple facts to us, but they were profound revelations to Enoch. Each portal marked a precise season, telling the people below when to plant and when to harvest, when to fast and when to feast. The movement of the sun taught humanity when to act and when to wait. But Uriel showed him far more than just the path of the sun. He mapped the winds. He revealed 4 massive winds blowing from 4 distinct portals, each with its own purpose. Winds bringing heat, winds carrying biting cold, and winds that brought life-giving rain or drove it away. Winds that blessed the crops or cursed them with bitter drought. Listen closely. Uriel might have warned, when these winds wander from their gates, trouble falls upon the earth. They must keep their true courses, just as humans must keep God's law. In this ancient cosmos, nothing moves by accident. Every single star has its station, every planet its path. The entire sky spins like a massive wheel around the throne. When things drift from their set course, it is not just a change in the weather, it is a tear in creation itself. The strangest part of this journey comes when Uriel shows Enoch where stars go to die. In this ancient world, stars can sin just like people. Those that break the sacred law are thrown down into a bottomless pit. Down there they burn without shedding a single ray of light. They suffer in the dark where nobody can see. The stars missing from the night sky, Uriel explains, they were not just snuffed out, they were judged and banished. Now they stand as warnings of what happens when you wander off the true path. This strange idea of fallen stars as fallen angels blurs the boundary between science and spirit. But for Enoch, that boundary did not exist. The laws of the stars and the laws of the heart flowed from the very same source. They broke the same way, and the same hand repaired them. Moving on, Uriel reveals 12 massive mountains of precious jewels. These are no earthly hills. They are the actual pillars holding up the sky, built from gold and silver, ruby and jade. The very bones of the universe wrapped in light. Next come the great waters. Not the ordinary seas we sail, but vast cosmic oceans pressing against the world. Waters kept in place by a single divine word. These same currents once broke loose in Noah's flood, and they could end everything again if he commanded. This is more than water, Uriel might have said. It is God's judgment barely held back for a little while. Fear them the way you would fear a sheer drop off a cliff. Through everything, Enoch writes down what he sees, mapping the stars, not with lines, but with seasons and times. His writing becomes a guide to places no living person has ever seen. The most striking thing about this cosmic tour is how it fuses cold astronomy with pure spiritual vision. The very same pages tracking the moon also count the armies of angels. The words mapping the sun also mark the direct roads to heaven and hell. To Enoch and Uriel, those stars were not just balls of burning gas. They were living lights. More than moving air, the wind was a purposeful breath. The gates in the sky were actual doors opening and closing at a divine command. Today we have split these worlds apart. Science looks through glass lenses, while faith reads the sacred pages. But in Enoch's mind, nature and Holy Scripture told one single story. Even Uriel's name carries his purpose. It means the light of God. This angel brings a light that is not just brightness, but deep understanding. He reveals to Enoch not only how the cosmos moves, but why it matters. Their journey pulls them to the very edges of existence, to the birthplace of light and dark, and the deep vaults where God keeps the snow and hail waiting to fall. as weapons or blessings. They reach the throne where the Creator rules over both men and angels. Through Uriel's guidance, Enoch sees that the universe is not a cold, empty void. It is alive with meaning, watched over by 1,000 eyes and guided by unseen hands. There is no dead space in this creation, no corner where the law is silent. Finally, his journey over, Enoch steps back onto the dusty earth. But he is no longer just a mortal walking on dirt. He is changed, a man carrying the heavy secrets of the stars in his chest. He has seen the secret gears of everything that exists. Now he knows that dawn is not just morning light breaking the dark, but a gate swinging open. The maps he brings back are not drawn on leather or clay. They are written in a language that blends stark reality with sacred mystery. They do not just show where the stars sit in the blackness, but what they mean in the grand design of God. Today our maps trace highways and coastlines, but the map Enoch carried traced the path of righteousness straight through the stars. Modern science counts the cold distances of light years. Enoch measured the distance between a man's daily choices and the throne of heaven. At the center of this cosmic map stands Uriel, the angel of light. He shows us that truly seeing takes far more than open eyes. It takes a quiet heart, a mind ready to find meaning in every star's path, in every changing season, and in every gate that opens to let the light through. When we look up into the dark night sky today, we might name the constellations and measure their orbits. But Enoch would ask, can you see the doorways? Do you know the paths? Can you read in those cold pinpricks of light the laws that guide our very souls between our dusty world and the highest heavens? There is a massive blue canopy stretched out wide. We call it the atmosphere. He called it the firmament. It was not just empty space, but a heavy, solid wall separating our world from the great unknown. In his ancient mind, this sky had real weight. This sky was thick and tangible. If you climbed high enough, you could touch it. A roof built from frozen waters at God's command, a ceiling above us, and the very floor of heaven itself. As Enoch travels deeper with the angel, we see a universe built in layers, like a grand house with many floors. Our world sits at the very bottom. The blue sky is the first ceiling. Just above it spin the stars and planets. Higher still lies the realm of the angels, and at the very peak sits the throne room of God. This view was not just Enoch's personal dream, it was how almost everyone in the ancient world pictured reality. Not a spinning ball in empty space. Instead, it was a flat plain flanked by deep chasms below and towering heights above, a middle ground stretched between ultimate light and the deepest dark. Uriel showed Enoch the outer edges of this earthly disk, where the dome of heaven curves down to touch the dry ground. Giant stone pillars rise at these meeting points to hold up the sky, their peaks stabbing through the dome. Their tops vanish into places no human eye can ever see, the heavy foundations of heaven itself. These were the joints where the divine world met our lower earth, Uriel explained, right on the edge. Enoch looked and saw vast rivers of fire, no water, only raw, liquid light to feed the stars. These burning streams did not run down to any sea. They flowed upward, right to the throne. Then Uriel pointed down. Deep under the earth lay another place entirely, not a garden, but a frozen pit of shadows full of cold winds and endless empty night. Dead spirits waited there, waiting for judgment, alongside fallen stars that burned hot but gave no light. The abyss had its own gates, its own guards, its own laws. It was not a place of pure evil, a quiet holding cell, a waiting room between life on earth and whatever comes next. This map of creation, from pit to throne, was not just about geography. It showed the order of all things. Our world sat in the center, on purpose. Humans live at the crossroads. We are not the highest beings, nor the lowest, but we must choose which way to look, up to the light or down into the dark. Uriel moved on. The journey grew stranger. Enoch saw where the weather is made, not in the clouds, but inside massive ancient storehouses built right into the sky, huge vaults carved into the dome. God kept the weather locked away there, like weapons in a fortress, ready to bless the good with soft rain or smash the wicked with a storm. "Look closely," Uriel said, showing him the massive gates holding back the hail and the deep vaults where the snow piles up, all locked up tight until God gives the word. But the strangest sights of all were still to come. Mountains rose up that looked nothing like ours. Some were made of thick, eternal fog. Others burned with fires that never died out. A few were made of jewels that caught and bent the light of heaven. You could never find these places on a normal map. They existed in the thin gaps between worlds. Not quite in heaven, but not really on earth either. Bridges connecting what we can see with what we hope for. And through it all ran a single pattern, perfect order. Nothing happened by accident. No star moved without a reason. No wind blew without a job to do. The whole massive structure followed a master plan drawn up before time even started. Knowing this order existed brought peace to a life that often felt like total chaos. When kings went to war and empires fell, Enoch could look up and see God hand-guiding the stars across the sky. Even when hunger or sickness swept through the villages, he could still trust that these dark times fit into a plan too massive for any human to understand. But this universe was not some cold, dead machine. It breathed. It lived. Stars were born and stars died out. Winds grew strong and fell quiet. The gates of heaven swung open to let God's will pass through. The deep jaws of the pit gaped to swallow anything that fell from grace. It was a living, breathing house, not some clock ticking away on its own, but a garden watched over by its creator. The strangest moment came when Enoch reached the very end of everything, the place where reality stopped and the great empty void began. Beyond that point, God had spoken nothing into existence. There was only cold silence. And at this edge stood angels whose work never ended. They kept the border secure between what is real and what is not, patching up any cracks in the sky. This keeps chaos from leaking into the world. As long as they stay awake, Uriel says our earth holds together. If they ever walked away, everything we know would crumble back into the dark void. This edge showed Enoch a truth few holy books ever mention, that creation is not a finished project, but an ongoing struggle. God did not just build the earth and walk away. Heavenly power still holds back the darkness, creating room for life with every single breath. Out at the edge, Enoch saw one last wonder. The outermost walls of the universe were not built of stone or iron, but of pure light, bent and shaped by God's voice. It was light so bright it would blind a human instantly, a glow that did not just shine, but hummed with music. This singing border was the end of Enoch's path. Even angels feared to go any further. Beyond lay only the raw presence of God, too bright and powerful for any created thing to survive. As Uriel led Enoch back toward our world, the angel left him with one last truth. The vast map they had drawn was not just out there in the deep sky. It lived inside every human soul. These gates that swing open in the heavens, Uriel explained, open inside our own hearts. The same rivers of light flowing through heaven flow through our own dreams. and the same dark pit waiting below the earth waits inside every choice to turn from the light. With these teachings, Enoch's cosmic journey becomes far more than just map-making. It becomes a map of morality. Every single human life reflects the vast cosmos. Every soul fights the same war between light and dark, order and chaos. When Enoch returns to Earth, he carries back far more than simple weather signs or charts of the stars. He brings a revelation that puts human life at the center of a cosmic drama. We are not lost in endless space or time. We stand right where heaven and earth, light and shadow meet and mingle. The sky above and the deep abyss below are not just far-off places. They show how high we can climb and how deep we can fall. They are the limits that both restrict and protect our short, bright lives. Then come the dream visions, the animal revelations. Dreams speak in strange tongues, masking reality. In this book, they are never just ordinary thoughts in the night. They are sacred tools that unlock both the past and the future. And of all these dreams, one stands out for its strange power. We call it the animal apocalypse. In this vision, all of human history unfolds as a story of beasts. People appear as beasts, nations as herds, and great leaders as horned rams or wild bulls. This dream comes to Enoch in a deep sleep. He sees the first man, Adam, as a white bull. Eve walks beside him as a young heifer. Their children take on different forms. Abel is a sheep, Cain a black bull. When Cain slays his brother, a black bull gores a helpless sheep. As humans multiply, their animal forms shift. The family of Seth, Adam's third son, are born as white bulls, but then something strange happens. These bulls give birth to elephants, camels, and donkeys, different beasts for different nations. The line of Israel stays as bulls, while other tribes change. Then the great flood arrives. Noah, a white bull, desperately warns the herds. The waters rise. Only those who listen to his warning survive. After the flood, Noah fathers 3 bulls, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. From these 3 come all the creatures of the new world. Then we see Abraham, a white bull, who fathers Isaac, another white bull. Isaac fathers Jacob, who starts as a bull but transforms into something new, a sheep. With this change, the chosen line takes on a new shape. No longer mighty bulls, but humble sheep. The family of Israel grows into a massive flock. They travel to Egypt, where wolves representing the Egyptians enslave them. Moses appears as a sheep who slowly takes on human traits. He leads the flock away from the wolves. When they cross the Great Sea, the pursuing wolves drown in the waves. At Mount Sinai, the sheep Moses speaks with the Lord. He returns half sheep and half human, showing how divine law raises us above our wild instincts. The flock enters the promised land, but soon the sheep lose their sight. They wander off the path, completely forgetting the sacred laws given on the mountain. They stray into dark places where wolves and foxes, the enemy nations, tear them apart. Eventually, kings rise up to lead the flock. Some try to guide the sheep back to safe pastures, but most fail. The sheep build a house of the temple, but they defile it with wicked deeds. Angry at his flock, the Lord lets wild beasts surround them. Lions, tigers, bears, and wolves close in. Then the great empires strike like fierce predators. Assyria comes as lions, Babylon as eagles. Each takes its turn, tearing the helpless flock. The temple falls. The sheep are scattered. Some are eaten, and others are dragged away in chains. This shows Israel falling to foreign conquerors, the ruin of the first temple, and the exile to Babylon, a dark time when the flock seemed lost forever. But the dream does not end in despair. The Lord appoints shepherds to watch over his flock, angels to guard them during their exile. But some of these guardians are corrupt, letting the wolves slaughter far too many sheep. Some even help the killers. For this, they are judged. Then comes a strange moment where Enoch sees a heavenly book. Inside, the Lord counts exactly how many sheep will survive and how many will die. Even in their suffering, a divine hand keeps score. Finally, the flock returns home. They build a new house, the second temple, but it is not like the first. It is smaller, humbler, and many sheep are still blind. Then comes the time of the horned rams, the Maccabees, who fight Greek rule. They fight off the eagles and ravens threatening the flock. For a brief moment, the sheep find peace and walk the right path again. But the strangest part of the dream comes at the very end. A great ram rises with a massive horn, no ordinary leader. This ram fights every single predator, not just one empire, but all oppression. And as he battles, something incredible happens. The blind sheep begin to change. Their eyes open, their wool turns pure white, and they become powerful rams themselves. Armed with horns to defend themselves, the prey becomes like the protector. Then comes the ultimate sign, a massive black-legged bull. Every wild beast flees from his path. The sheep, now mighty rams, bow before him. This is no mere king or prophet. This is the Messiah, coming to change creation itself. When he appears, the old world dies. Wolves lie down with sheep, and lions eat grass like oxen. Hunter and prey find absolute peace. The entire animal kingdom, all nations and peoples, unite as one flock under a single shepherd. This animal apocalypse used symbols that the ancient world understood perfectly. Bulls meant power and kingship, while sheep meant the common people and the faithful. Those predators stood for conquering empires. Watching one wild beast morph into another showed how great nations rose and fell. It showed how God's hand moved through the ages. What makes this vision so incredible is how it packs all human history into one dream. From creation to final judgment, the whole story unfolds through animals. Yet these creatures make decisions with very human minds. They choose paths, they build temples, they read laws. They are not just beasts, they are humans in animal form. This strange code people painted as beasts let Enoch speak dangerous truth safely. When real kings threatened believers, speaking plainly could get you killed. But dreams of bulls and sheep, they could pass safely from hand to hand, giving hope without naming names. This animal apocalypse reveals a deeper side of Enoch. He is not just a mystic in heaven, but a teacher explaining the patterns of history. He is more than an astronomer watching cosmic laws. He is a prophet who sees the divine hand guiding the rise and fall of nations. For all its strange animals, the vision tells one simple truth. History is not random. Empires do not rise and fall by accident. Through all the shifting powers of the earth, a sacred plan unfolds. The scattered sheep will come home. Those predators will lose their fangs, and the world will finally find the quiet peace it was made for. This dream offered hope to a people who had almost none. Jews living under cruel foreign rule. Believers watching their temple desecrated. Ordinary families crushed between massive empires. To them, the animal apocalypse whispered the Lord is still watching his flock. Every soul is counted in heaven. A day is coming when the prey will no longer fear the predator. In times of peace, these dreams might seem like wild imagination. But in dark times, when real wolves prowled outside the door, Enoch's beasts spoke deeper truth than any history book ever could. The visions went on. Suddenly, a massive white bull. The dream continues. Silence. But now the vision turns toward the end, toward hope, after a very long darkness. As the animal apocalypse nears its final scene, a figure appears that stops everyone in their tracks. A massive white bull with giant black horns. Power shines from him like light. When he calls, every creature, hunter and prey alike turns to look. This is no ordinary king or prophet. This is the Messiah himself, the one who comes at the end of days to make all things new. Some Jewish scrolls call him the Son of David. Others call him the Anointed One. But here in Enoch's dream, he takes the original shape of Adam, a white bull, only far greater. When this white bull steps onto the stage of history, change ripples out from his path. The sheep who became rams begin to change yet again. They become white bulls just like him. They mirror the shape of the very first human before sin stained the world. They return to the original form God blessed. This isn't just a makeover or a change in looks. It is a change of nature. The faithful do not simply look different. They actually become different. Their eyes are opened, hearts cleaned, and strength fully grown. They take on the nature of the one they follow. Even more surprising, the predators change too. Lions and bears, wolves and foxes, all the beasts that hunted the flock drop their hunger. They join the bulls and sheep in a brand new herd, a place where ancient feuds die, old wounds heal, and the bloody debts of ages are finally paid. Enoch writes that they all became white bulls. Not just the faithful believers, but every creature, great and small. It is a total transformation that leaves no one unchanged. At the center stands that first white bull. Every eye turns to him, every heart beats with his. He doesn't rule through fear like the wild beasts. He doesn't cower like the sheep used to. He leads by showing them what they are all meant to become. This vision of the great white bull reveals the heart of Enoch's hope. He didn't just want his people to win some grand cosmic war. He wanted a peace where old dividing lines fade away and even former enemies find a seat at the table. This white bull doesn't wipe out the wolves and bears. He changes them. He doesn't just save the sheep, he lifts them up. His coming isn't the end of the world, but its fresh beginning. As this part of the dream ends, Enoch sees one more wonder. The great white bull changes shape again, becoming a wild ox with massive black horns. Strength on strength, power on power. He is not just a leader, but the very picture of sacred power. All the herds rejoiced at the sight. Every beast bowed low. They sing a brand new song, not the bleating of sheep or the roaring of lions, but one unified voice. It is the voice of creation finally finding the harmony it was made for. This dream within a dream tells us so much about Enoch's view of the end times. He didn't see a final war where the good destroy the wicked, but a perfect peace where even the lost find their way home. It is not about throwing away the old world, but healing it. This great white bull holds traits that later writers would split among different figures. He has the majesty of a heavenly judge, the authority of a perfect king, and the cleansing power of a high priest. This guide holds the wisdom of a true prophet, all in one shape and being. For early readers, this vision spoke directly to hearts broken by war and loss. These were Jews who had watched their temple fall, their cities burn, and their children dragged off in chains. To them, the promise of a great white bull who would set everything right was more than comfort. It was the only hope big enough to match their deep grief. We find echoes of this white bull in later scriptures. The book of Daniel speaks of one like a son of man coming with the clouds of heaven. In the book of Revelation, we see a rider on a white horse named Faithful and True. Different symbols, but the exact same promise. A savior comes to set everything right. But Enoch's white bull offers something later visions sometimes miss, a truly universal hope. Not just saving a few while others burn, or rewarding the good while the bad suffer. Instead, every single creature is transformed and made brand new. A universe no longer split between heaven and hell, but gathered as one quiet herd. Today, that kind of hope might feel too simple, too clean for a world we know is messy, too whole for hearts we know are broken. But maybe that is exactly why Enoch's dream has survived. It dares to hope when hope seems impossible, and to trust when trust seems completely foolish. That great white bull is Enoch's answer to the hardest question faith ever asks. Is it all worth it? Will the long, painful ache of history actually mean something? Will countless tears finally find a purpose? Can the blood of martyrs and the ash of ruined temples somehow grow into something beautiful? Enoch's answer rings out clear. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Every bear wiped away, every wound healed, and every broken bond restored. This will not happen by human hands, but by God's own. Not on our schedule, but on His. Some scholars think this part of Enoch shaped how early Christians viewed Jesus, the white bull who changes everyone who follows him, turning old enemies into brothers and sisters, the one whose very presence changes the nature of reality. Other people see links to Jewish longing for a Messiah who would reclaim David's throne and rebuild the temple, a mighty ox whose raw strength would break the heavy chains of Rome and all oppressors. Others find traces of Persian thought here, the final war between light and darkness. Regardless of its origins, the vision of the white bull offers a hope both strange and simple. Strange because of its talking beasts and changing shapes, but simple in its promise that love wins, that peace is coming, and that God finishes what He starts. As we close these pages on Enoch's dreams, we are left with images that both shake us and heal us. Bulls and sheep, wolves and lambs, hunters and prey, finding a way forward together. Not because one side won, but because everyone was changed. In our world of walls and wars, of tribes and constant threats, these dreams can sound like childish fantasies, but maybe that is not weakness, maybe it is strength. Perhaps we need wild dreams that defy our careful plans and hopes, too big for our small fears. The great white bull reminds us what hope felt like before it grew cautious, before it learned to settle, before it shook hands with endless division. He stands in the fields of history, calling every living thing to become what it was always meant to be. Not by force, but through the irresistible, gentle pull of perfection. Not by fear, but by the quiet draw of love. And inside that call, even today, beats the heart of Enoch's strangest, most daring dream. That one day every bull and bear, every sheep and wolf, the high and the low, might gather as one flock and share a single nature, singing with a single voice the song the universe was made to sing. Now fallen stars and wandering planets, night falls over the ancient world. Look up at the sky with me. Those tiny points of light were far more than just stars to our ancestors. They were living minds with real duties. In the Book of Enoch, stars are not just balls of burning gas billions of miles away. They are conscious beings with duties to keep, and some failed their tests. Enoch tells us of stars bound tight with heavy chains, stars thrown out of their celestial homes and cast into a deep, burning pit. This was not just poetic decoration. It was part of a cosmic court of law, where even the heavens had to answer for their sins. In one striking vision, Enoch sees 7 stars like massive burning mountains. Their crime? They did not rise at the proper time. Because of this, they are bound for 10,000 years. Think about that. In a world without clocks or calendars, stars were how you told time. If a star did not show up on schedule, it was not just odd, it was a tear in the fabric of heaven, proof that something was deeply broken. The planets had a special meaning too. The very word planet comes from the Greek term for wanderer. Unlike fixed stars that stayed put night after night, planets moved on strange paths. Sometimes they even seemed to stop and crawl backward. To Enoch and his listeners, these were not just cold rocks following the laws of gravity and motion. They were angels who had strayed from their courses, rebels fighting heaven's design. When Uriel shows Enoch the dark prison for fallen stars, he describes it as a wild, terrifying place, a deep void where light itself is punished with absolute darkness. This was cosmic justice. Those made of pure light had to face the complete loss of light as punishment. But why would stars fall? Enoch believed some joined the rebellion of the Watchers, just like the angels who came down to earth. These sky beings had roles to keep. Their straying was not just physical, but deeply moral. This view of the night sky shaped how people read the stars for generations. A passing comet was not just a natural event. A blood moon was not just an eclipse. They were signs, warnings, and messages from the heavens. When Matthew's Gospel tells of a star guiding the wise men to Jesus, Enoch's readers knew exactly what it meant. Stars could move with purpose, guiding men and showing the hidden plans of God. When the Book of Revelation talks about stars falling to earth in the last days, it draws on this exact same cosmic picture. Stars are not just far-off points of light. They are part of a grand story of creation, fall, and restoration. Look up at the night sky tonight. Those tiny points of light have real stories to tell. They are stories of duty and failure, of punishment and rescue, written in the language of light, shadow motion, and stillness. In Enoch's world, everything in creation had its proper place, its own moment to shine, its own path to follow. And if anything slipped out of line, whether an angel, a human, or a star, the universe itself groaned to make things right. The stars fell, but their fall teaches us about our own paths, our own duties, and how we must stay true to the course laid out before us. Because in Enoch's universe, nothing falls forever. Even the stars will eventually be brought back to their proper place in the sky. In Enoch's scrolls, words have real authority. They shape worlds. They outlast empires. Within the Book of Enoch, words are not just spoken. They are written down, kept and preserved in heavenly books that record everything. Enoch tells us of massive libraries in heaven, books filled with the deeds of everyone who has ever lived on earth, books that track the paths of stars and the flight of birds, books counting every drop of rain that falls to the ground. Nothing escapes these heavenly records. No whispered secret, no hidden thought, no deed done in the dark. Everything finds its place in what Enoch calls the tablets of heaven. As he journeys through the cosmos, he meets angels whose only job is to write. They are the scribes of eternity, carrying reed pens and scrolls of brilliant light. These books record every human life, every joy and sorrow, every birth and death. The angel Uriel shows Enoch these records, telling him that nothing happening on earth is hidden from these books. This isn't just about judgment. It is about memory, a universe that remembers everything. In one incredible scene, Enoch himself becomes a scribe. The angels hand him a reed pen and ask him to write down everything he has seen. For days he sits and writes. Scroll after scroll is filled with visions and warnings. This image of Enoch as a heavenly scribe really stuck with his readers. It explains why later writings call him Enoch the scribe, and why Jewish tradition credits him with inventing writing itself. But there is much more to these books than just recording history. Enoch sees books that reveal what is yet to come, books charting the whole span of human history, from the first day to the final sunset. One book lists those who will be saved in the final days. Another counts every single speck of dust that will burn in the fires of judgment. Another tracks every tear that will be wiped away when everything is made new. Think about how this idea shaped those who came later. When the Psalms speak of the book where all my days were written down, they are using Enoch's language. When Daniel sees books opened at the final judgment, he is seeing exactly what Enoch saw. And when Revelation speaks of a book of life where the names of the saved are written, it builds on this same vision, a universe where nothing is lost, where every single life matters enough to be recorded. For those who first read Enoch, this brought both comfort and warning. Comfort that their lives, often hard, short, and seemingly pointless, were remembered by heaven. Warning that nothing they did could ever be hidden from these celestial records. In times when very few people could read, the idea of heavenly books carried immense weight. If kings kept records of their reigns, why wouldn't God? If temples tracked offerings and debts, why not heaven itself? But these books are not just about judgment. They are about meaning. They tell us that our individual stories matter, and that they fit into a grand plan spanning all of time and space. In a life that often feels random and cruel, Enoch offers a vision of cosmic order. Everything has its place in the great books of heaven. Every single life is a chapter in the story God is writing across the stars. And though we might never see these books with our own eyes, Enoch tells us they are out there, waiting, recording, and remembering until the day when all books are opened and every story finds its ending and its new beginning. A fractured universe. The ground shifts. The sky goes completely dark at noon. Rivers dry up or spill over their banks. In Enoch's world, these weren't just natural events. They were signs of a universe knocked out of alignment, a creation groaning under the heavy weight of sin. Enoch sees the world as far more than just raw matter and energy. It is a living thing bound by moral laws just as much as physical ones. When those moral laws are broken, even the rocks and waters feel the pain. In his visions, angels show him how human sin ripples outward through creation. The forbidden knowledge taught by the Watchers doesn't just corrupt human hearts, it tears at the very fabric of reality. "Look," says his angelic guide, pointing to a mountain split by a deep crack. "This is where heaven's order was first broken, where angels abandoned their proper place. The earth itself bears witness to their sin." Enoch sees earthquakes not as the shifting of tectonic plates, but as the groans of a wounded world. Floods are the earth's tears wept for the blood spilled on her surface. Storms are the fury of creation against those who ruin it. This isn't just ancient superstition. It shows a deep understanding of how everything is connected. Think of how moral and physical reality intertwine like strands of a cord. Pull on one, and the other shifts too. When the Watchers teach humans to forge weapons, tear up the earth from metals, and strip the natural world for their own gain, they were not just sharing skills. They are teaching them to defy the sacred order established at the dawn of creation. And the earth feels it. Mountains shake, seas rise, and the very stars burn with fury at what has been done down below. An angel tells Enoch that the earth has tilted on its axis, a shocking detail for an ancient text, as if the writer knew how a planetary shift alters all life on earth. But in Enoch's vision, this tilt is not just physical, it is deeply moral. The world has been knocked off balance by the heavy weight of sin. Rain falls out of season, crops fail, animals turn against humans and hunt each other. The steady cycles of nature shatter as chaos spreads from human hearts to the wider world. In one wild passage, Enoch sees a future where the moon changes its path. The sun rises where it ought to set. The entire cosmos seems to run backward, almost protesting what is happening down on Earth. This vision of a broken universe shaped how future prophets saw the world. When Isaiah speaks of a new heaven and a new earth, he is building on Enoch's feeling that this world is damaged and needs healing. When Jesus speaks of signs in the sun, the moon, and stars before his return, he draws on this exact tradition. a cosmos where physical events reflect spiritual truths, where heaven and earth mirror each other. But Enoch does not leave us with only a broken world. He offers hope that what is shattered will one day be made whole. The same Creator who set the stars on their courses can align them once more. The same hand that shaped the mountains can heal their deep scars. Near the end, he tells us there will be new heavens where stars never fall, and a new earth that bears fruit without any curse or rot. A world set right again. A cosmos healed from center to edge. Until then, we live in the gap between what was and what will be, in a universe still groaning, as Paul would later write, like a woman in labor waiting for its moment of rescue. Consider the ancient mysteries of weather, mountains, and trees. Rain falls from clouds, wind blows from the north, trees grow from seeds. Simple facts we take for granted. But in Enoch's eyes, these ordinary processes hold deeper secrets. Behind every single drop of rain, every gust of wind, and every green leaf stood angels carrying out the divine will. The Book of Enoch opens a window into a world alive with purpose, where nothing happens by pure luck, and where nature speaks a language of its own, if only we knew how to listen. As Enoch journeys with his heavenly guides, they show him the great storehouses of snow and hail waiting for their season. They point out dark caverns where the winds rest until they are summoned. They reveal the unseen spirits that tend to every living thing. Look at those clouds, his guide says, pointing toward the horizon. They are not just water vapor. They are living beings, carrying out tasks given to them before time even began. This is not primitive thinking. It is a way of seeing the sacred in the ordinary, the divine hand at work in every moment of our lives. Enoch also learns about mountains, how they are not just piles of rock, but pillars holding up the sky. Some mountains in his vision reach all the way to the gates of heaven. Others mark the edges of human territory, set as borders no one is supposed to cross. One mountain made of crystal glows brightly day and night. Another burns with an endless fire. A third flows with sweet nectar that feeds the wildflowers. Each has its purpose, its own part in the cosmic dance. Trees, too, hold special meaning in Enoch's vision. He sees a massive tree whose fruit gives wisdom to those who eat it, echoing the forbidden tree of Eden. He learns how every kind of wood has its own spirit, its own voice making music in the wind. In one stunning passage, Enoch reaches a mountain garden where fragrant trees grow tall. Their scent is sweeter than any perfume. Their leaves never fall. Their fruit never rots. This is more than just a lovely picture. It is a glimpse of the world as it ought to be, as it once was, and as it will be again. In Enoch's world, weather patterns show the mood of heaven. Thunder is not just sound waves, it is the voice of angels calling out to each other across the sky. Lightning is not just electricity, it is the gleam of heavenly swords as the armies of God train for the final battle. When rain falls in its proper season, it is a sign of divine favor. When drought comes, it is because the angels of rain hold back their gifts, grieving over human sins. This way of seeing nature shaped how people understood the world for centuries. When Jesus calms a storm with a word, his followers see more than just power over the weather. They see him speaking the language of those weather angels, commanding the very spirits of wind and wave. When Revelation describes trees whose leaves heal the nations, it draws on Enoch's idea that plants have a purpose far deeper than just feeding and shading us. They are partners in the grand work of healing what has been broken. This is not about worshiping nature. It is about looking past nature to its source, tracing every raindrop, every breeze, and every leaf back to the hand that first set the universe in motion. In our world of weather satellites and plant databases, we can easily miss what Enoch saw, the wonder behind the facts, the why behind the how, the face behind the mask of physical laws. Look outside your window. That tree reaching its branches toward the sky, that cloud casting its shadow on the hills, that wind rustling through the leaves. In Enoch's world, they are far more than they seem. They are pages in the grand book of creation. They tell a story to anyone with the eyes to see and ears to listen. Time, destiny, and the patterns of history. Time flows like a river. But where does that river start? Where does it end? And who charted its path from the source to the sea? These are the questions Enoch asks as angels lead him through heaven. In one hall, he sees massive spinning wheels of light, cosmic clocks tracking the ages of Earth. In another, he finds books recording every single day of human history, from the first dawn to the very last sunset. Time is not what you think, his guide tells him. It does not just move in a straight line. It moves in patterns, like the seasons or the stars in their courses. What has been will be again. What is coming has already happened. This view of time shapes all of Enoch's visions. He does not just look at the past or glimpse the future. He sees how they are tied together, echoing and mirroring each other across vast ages. Through these angelic eyes, Enoch learns that time has a physical texture. Some moments are thin, where heaven and earth almost touch. Others are heavy with meaning, where the border fades so much that angels walk among men. He sees how human history is split into distinct ages not by random chance, but by deliberate design. Every age has its purpose, its own lesson to contribute to the grand story the Creator is telling through history. First came the age of creation and wonder, when the world was young, and humans walked with the Creator in the cool of the day. Then came the age of growth and fall, when knowledge multiplied but true wisdom failed. Next was Enoch's own time, an era of dark corruption and great revelation, when rebellious angels descended, but heaven opened its deep secrets to those who could see. Looking beyond his own era, Enoch sees the great cleansing flood, then the age of covenants and holy laws. Then come the times of kings and prophets, of exile and return. Far beyond those years, he glimpses what is still to come, an age when heaven's king walks the earth in human form. An age of spreading light, followed by growing darkness. Finally, a time of judgment and renewal, when the river of time finally flows into the sea of eternity. This is not just about mapping out history. It is about finding meaning in the patterns. It is about seeing that nothing happens by accident. Everything works together toward an end that only heaven can fully see. In one striking vision, Enoch sees time as a massive loom. Angels weave the threads of human lives and choices into a great cloth whose full design only God can see. We only see our own tiny corner of the design, yet every thread matters. Each life adds its own color and texture. This view of time, both fixed and flowing, shaped how later writers saw history. When Daniel maps out the rise and fall of great empires, he builds on Enoch's cosmic timeline. When John writes in the Book of Revelation about what must soon happen, he stands in this very same tradition. For those who first read Enoch, this view of time brought deep comfort and a profound challenge. Comfort that their brief lives fit into a grand plan, and the challenge to live as if every single moment matters to heaven itself. In a world that often felt cruel and random, Enoch offered a peek behind the curtain. He showed that history's apparent chaos has a deeper order, that the river of time, despite all its wild twists and rapids, flows toward a sea already known to the Creator. Today we usually view time as an arrow flying straight forward, or a cycle repeating forever. Enoch suggests it is actually both, a spiral moving both forward and around. Each turn is new yet familiar. Every age is fresh while still echoing what came before. Look back at your own life. Think of the repeating patterns, the moments that changed everything. In Enoch's eyes, none of it is random. Every piece matters. It all weaves into a story much larger than any single life, yet incomplete without you. Time flows onward. The wheels of heaven turn. The loom of ages weaves its design thread by thread, life by life. And though we see through a glass darkly, now Enoch promises a day when time's full meaning will be revealed. We will see not just our tiny piece of the pattern, but the entire woven masterpiece in all its glory. The Epistle of Enoch. The room grows quiet as we turn to the final section of this ancient book. Here within these fragile pages, the old patriarch speaks directly to us across the centuries. He speaks not as a mystic who has toured the heavens, but as a father deeply worried for his children. The letter shifts in tone. The wild visions of stars and angels are gone. Instead, we find a man looking at the world around him with sober eyes. His words carry a heavy weight, urgent warnings about the road ahead. Enoch speaks of two paths, the way of righteousness and the road to ruin. He does not sugarcoat what lies ahead for those who choose poorly. The wicked, he warns, will find no peace. Their names will be wiped out, their works forgotten. This is not a threat, but a painful truth he has seen beyond the veil. Yet hope runs through his words too. The righteous will find their peace. Light waits for those on the straight path. In the end, he tells us truth wins. What makes this letter so unique is how it connects two different worlds. It speaks both to Enoch's day and to our own. Warnings about greed, lies, and the abuse of power still ring true today. Scholars notice how the letter feels rooted in a deeper past, echoing ancient books of wisdom. Books like Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, yet it reaches forward too, hinting at what would later bloom in Jewish and Christian teachings. Enoch's words to his son Methuselah feel surprisingly modern. Take these words to heart. Know that every human deed is measured. In our era of quick fixes and fast profits, his call to look beyond our brief lives cuts deep. This letter draws from incredibly ancient roots. Within we find the famous two pathways, a classic ancient moral choice. Choose life or choose death. Light or shadow. The road leading up or the road tumbling down. This choice, Enoch insists, belongs to us, and the raw emotion of it still cuts deep. This isn't just dry preaching. It is a man who saw behind the veil and watched history turn. He came back, shattered by what lies ahead. His voice shakes heavy with the burden of knowing too much, spelling out vivid warnings. Woe to those who build their homes on lies. Woe to those who twist justice and those who cheat their neighbors. Every warning falls like a heavy hammer on stone. Yet tucked between these stark warnings are pockets of hope. The righteous will find their way to a peaceful path. Wisdom flows like fresh water for those who thirst for truth. These aren't just pretty words. They are real lifelines thrown to people drowning in dark times. When Enoch speaks about the book of the living, he touches something deep inside us. We all want to matter. We all want to be remembered. This letter promises that good deeds are never lost to time. They are written down, counted, and saved. And in its final pages, the letter shifts from everyday choices to the grand scale of cosmic justice. Suddenly, the entire lens widens, and we are standing back in Enoch's massive vision, watching human life play out against eternity. This is far more than another simple sermon. It is the raw witness of a man who walked close to God and lived to tell the tale. time itself opens up like a scroll in Enoch's hands. Time is not just endless random seconds ticking away, but a story with clear chapters. A week of epics, 7 great days in the life of the world. This view of time shaped how countless believers saw history, not as random, meaningless events, but as a plan moving step by step toward a final goal. On the first day of this great week, creation bursts to life. Adam walks the garden. The world is young and full of hope. On the second day, sin breaks in. That bright beginning darkens. Humanity turns away from God, finding sharp thorns where beautiful flowers once grew. On the third day, Abraham hears a voice in the dark. A promise is made, choosing a people to carry light through the shadows. The promise takes root. On the fourth day, Moses leads slaves to freedom with holy laws carved in stone. The desert becomes a classroom where a new nation learns to walk with God. On the fifth day, kings rise, prophets speak, and temples go up. They find their voice, their land, and their purpose. But shadows gather on the borders. On the sixth day, exile and homecoming. Hard lessons are learned in foreign lands. They rebuild the temple, but it is smaller. Hope mixes with grief as they wait for what comes next. The seventh day brings rest and reward for those who kept the faith, a Sabbath for a tired world. In some views, this becomes the Messianic age, where wrongs are set right and peace flows like a river. But Enoch's vision does not stop there. Past those 7 days lies an 8th day, a brand new beginning outside of time itself, the eternal morning after history's long week. This pattern echoes all through religious history, in Jewish mysticism, early Christian texts, and medieval monks tracing the flow of time. They all borrow Enoch's striking image of history moving with purpose. For anxious listeners in ancient times, this brought deep comfort. Today's heavy struggles fit into a much grander plan. The story has an author. Our pain actually makes sense within the plot. Every age in Enoch's week has its own personality, its own task. No era lasts forever. Change comes whether we are ready or not. But a thread of meaning runs through it all. History isn't just one random event after another. It is a story moving steadily toward its final chapter. Today, people might smile at such a neat way to package time. Our modern view of history leans more toward chaos. Tiny causes massive effects, no grand master plan. Yet something in us still responds to Enoch's long week. We want time to make sense, and we want our chapter to matter. What is truly amazing is how this ancient book got so much right. It saw history as both a circle and a straight line moving forward. It knew that eras have distinct personalities shaped by events that define everything following. It recognized that time feels different depending on where you stand. When Enoch writes that one day with God is like 1,000 years, he touches on how time can stretch. Clock time versus soul time. The vast gap between how we count moments and how we actually live them. In dark times, his week of ages brought hope. This too shall pass. In proud times, it humbled. Your day is only one of 7. For people living under foreign conquerors, Romans, Babylonians, and Greeks, the message hit home. Tyrants are just a passing cloud in God's sky. This 7-age framework still shapes how we see the world. From doomsday prophets counting signs to regular people feeling an era end, we use Enoch's lens without even knowing it. Perhaps the most powerful part is the promise of the 8th day. After all our striving, a fresh start is waiting. After a full week of human struggle, something else entirely arrives, something far better than mere rest. A new creation, the final home of souls. What happens when we die? That question weighs heavily on us all. In the visions given to Enoch, dying is not the end. It is a doorway. His revelation unfolds in incredibly striking scenes, with spirits gathered in massive waiting rooms waiting for the end. There is no single destiny for everyone, but different rooms in death's house. The good find gentle rest in warm light. Their spirits shine bright like lamps glowing in a quiet room. They rest peacefully, cradled in the soft shadows, like seeds waiting deep in the cold earth before spring. But for other souls, darker corridors lie in wait. The spirits of the wicked find no rest at all. They drift through dim passages, already tasting the judgment heading their way. Not torment, yet not quite, but the heavy weight of truth pressing down. Between these different destinies exist endless shades of gray, people who stumbled yet tried, souls who did wrong yet tried to make amends, souls who never heard the voice of wisdom. For these quiet spirits, Enoch sees middle rooms, spaces meant for waiting and growth. The beauty of Enoch's vision is how it balances justice with mercy. No one escapes the scales of truth. Yet no destiny is final until the last day dawns. Hope still lingers in the corridors of death. The scroll describes deep valleys where spirits wait for the final trial of books, recording every single deed, and of angels guiding the newly dead to their rightful place. These vivid images would shape how countless generations picture the afterlife. Enoch does not just tell us what happens next. He shows why our choices right now actually matter. Every small decision we make shapes our soul. Every kind word or cruel blow carves out who we are when the body turns to dust. To those reading this long ago, this was no dry philosophy. It was urgent. Your brief life casts a very long shadow. Your choices echo far past the graveyard. Nothing is lost, nothing missed by the eyes watching from beyond time. The journey does not end at the grave. Enoch describes trial rest and preparation. Some souls must be purified like gold tested in the fire. Other souls already shine bright, simply waiting for the new world to begin. Enoch sees 4 distinct places. One is for the righteous who died glowing as bright as the midday sun. Another is for sinners who escaped justice in life, a place for settling debts. A third holds those denied a proper burial, a special mercy for them. And the last is for people who walked the line between good and evil, neither fully lost nor fully saved. Today we might hear echoes of near-death experiences in his words. The light, the review of one's life, the feeling of moving through stages. Written thousands of years ago, his words still ring true for anyone who has peeked behind the veil. What sets Enoch apart from other ancient texts is his focus on absolute fairness. No one escapes justice. No victim is forgotten. The universe itself keeps score, counting every tear and recording every act of courage or cruelty. Painting a startling picture of the great day of judgment, Enoch shows past, present, and future merging. Every soul that ever lived stands together as the books are opened. No secrets remain. Truth blazes like the midday sun, impossible to deny. But this is not just about punishment. The final destiny of these souls is a transformation. The good become like stars shining bright in a new universe. Creation itself is made new. Pain and sorrow are gone forever. For those who suffered unjustly in life, the long wait ends. This vision brought deep comfort. Your pain had a purpose. Your tears were seen. Justice is coming, if not in this life, then in the next. In the end, the universe always balances the scales. But for those who grew fat on the misery of others, Enoch's words brought terror. The scales would balance. The hidden would be exposed. No wealth or power could shield them from the light of truth. What comes after that great day? Enoch glimpses it, but struggles to find the words. A world rebuilt, bodies restored, yet changed. No more hunger, no more fear. The wall between heaven and earth is torn down at last. In these ancient texts, death loses its sting. Not because it is not real, it is very real, but because it is not the end. The soul's journey continues. The story moves forward toward a chapter too beautiful to fully imagine. This is about moral truth and cosmic law. In the quiet space between his great visions, Enoch teaches us how to live. His rules are not just about good behavior, they are the keys to cosmic harmony. For Enoch, doing right comes from seeing right. Once you see how the universe truly works, you naturally align yourself with its deep rhythms. Wisdom is more than just knowing what to do. It means understanding why those choices matter. Good and evil are not just human ideas in Enoch's world. They are woven into the very fabric of creation. The same laws guiding the stars through the night set the path for human souls. As it is above, so it is below. Unlike cold legal systems, Enoch's morality pulses with the life of the universe. Speak the truth, not just because lies hurt, but because honesty is the very breath of creation. Show mercy, not just to be nice, but because mercy is the deep design of the universe. Walk straight paths, Enoch insists. Simple words that pierce the heart. No twisting of truth, no clever lies, no hiding of meaning, just pure, honest living in the full light of day. His warnings against greed hit especially hard. Those who hoard wealth while their neighbors starve break far more than human laws. They tear at the very fabric of existence. The cosmos itself pushes back against such imbalance. For Enoch, true justice is everything. Not some blind justice or cold law, but active harmony. By fighting injustice and lifting up the broken, we do more than fix society. We help heal a wounded cosmos. Enoch's wisdom begins with truly seeing. Look closely at God's creation, he teaches. Watch how everything plays its part. From that comes right action. We simply step into a dance already moving through the universe. What makes his teaching special is how it links small daily choices to cosmic outcomes. A sharp word you speak ripples outward to the furthest stars. A moment of kindness to a stranger helps mend a broken universe. To ancient souls living under brutal empires, this brought real hope. Tyrants might seem completely powerful right now, but they fight the universe's natural flow. Their ruin is not just wanted, it is written in the stars. Enoch does more than tell us to be good. He shows a world where goodness actually matters, where living right is not just nice, but essential, matching reality's deep currents. When he speaks of consequences, there are no bribes or threats involved. It is about natural consequences. Live against the cosmic grain, and the sharp edges will find you. Walk with its true current, and even the darkest times cannot pull you under. His warnings about wealth cut deep. Woe to you who pile up silver and gold through unfair means. You claim you are rich, yet there is absolutely no goodness inside you. In our world of widening gaps between the rich and the poor, these ancient words still burn bright. He speaks constantly of eyes, eyes seeing truth, eyes watching us, eyes wide with wonder. Keep your eyes on the heavens, he urges, not just on the dirt. True goodness comes from a wider view. For those crushed by life, Enoch offers strange comfort. Your pain is not random. Your sorrows matter. The God who counts the stars counts every tear. Nothing is lost, and his words on power still sting. Woe to those who oppress the righteous with force. Your ruin is coming fast. No tyrant lasts forever. No empire is permanent. Ruthless power always carries the seeds of its own destruction. At its heart, Enoch's morality is all about connection. Right living comes from right loving of God, of others, and of the created world. We thrive when we truly see how connected everything really is. Over the centuries, these teachings have shaped countless lives. Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike found deep wisdom in these ancient words, learning how to walk uprightly through a complicated world. Perhaps the most incredible thing is how Enoch links tiny choices to cosmic results. That single moment of honesty, kindness, or cruelty, it is not just your private business. You are either joining the great harmony of the universe or resisting it. In our world of broken systems and global struggles, Enoch's vision offers a rare hope. Doing what is right matters more than we know. Every just choice helps heal not only our societies but reality itself. Enoch and the Essenes. Deep in the dry hills near the Dead Sea, a community formed. The Essenes, truth seekers who left city life behind for isolated camps, welcomed Enoch's words with open hearts. When young shepherds stumbled upon ancient caves in 1947, they had no idea they would change history forever. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest biblical texts ever found, show just how deeply Enoch influenced these desert people. The Qumran community lived in constant expectation of the end. They saw themselves as the last faithful remnant in a corrupt world. Their daily lives revolved around ritual, purity, prayer, and preparing for the final judgment, themes that echo all through Enoch's books. Among the scrolls, fragments of Enoch turned up again and again. Not just one or two copies, but dozens. This was proof that the forbidden book held a place of honor in their hidden libraries. Why did Enoch appeal to them so much? Perhaps his sharp division between light and darkness matched their own absolute black and white worldview. They too saw the world as a battlefield between good and evil forces. The community's famous war scroll reads almost like Enoch's visions brought to life. Angels and demons clash. The children of light face the children of darkness, and ultimate justice finally triumphs. For the Essenes, these were not distant legends, but tomorrow's reality. Their daily lives followed rhythms Enoch would have loved. Morning prayers timed to the rising sun, communal meals treated as sacred acts, work and study as worship. The cosmos and the community in perfect harmony. Just like Enoch, the Essenes kept a meticulous track of time. Their calendar followed the sun, not the moon, which set them completely apart from the temple in Jerusalem. This solar focus connects directly back to Enoch's astronomical writings. With his precise sun gates and cosmic cycles, the Essenes saw themselves as the true priesthood. The Jerusalem temple, they believed, was corrupt. They believed true worship happened only in their desert camp, where angels joined in their prayers. This view perfectly mirrors Enoch's own doubts about the temple system. Among their core beliefs were an approaching day of judgment, a coming Messiah who would usher in a new age, and the belief that humans could join angels in heavenly worship. Each reflects key themes from Enoch. What makes this connection so crucial is timing. The Essenes flourished right before and during the time of Jesus. Their Enoch-influenced worldview helped form the fertile ground where early Christianity took root. Did Jesus actually know Enoch's writings? We cannot say for sure, but he grew up in a world where these ideas flowed through almost every channel of Jewish thought. His own words about the Son of Man, about judgment and the coming age, they all find echoes in Enoch's ancient revelations. And the Essenes were not alone. Other Jewish groups of that era, the Pharisees, early mystics, and apocalyptic preachers, they all show signs of wrestling with Enoch's concepts. Even when banned by certain leaders, the book's core ideas spread like ripples from a stone thrown into still water. What the Qumran discoveries prove is just how fluid Jewish thought was during this critical era. No single Judaism, but many. Each drawing from the same deep well, yet following different streams. Enoch's book offered a powerful drink to anyone thirsting for direct revelations of heaven's mysteries. To readers today, this Essene connection matters deeply. It shows Enoch was never ignored. It shaped real communities, inspired deep devotion, and helped ordinary people see themselves as part of a grand cosmic story. Out in their lonely desert camp, waiting for an end that never came, the Essenes truly lived out Enoch's revelation. Aligning their daily lives with heaven's design, they kept their faith while the rest of the world went its own way. They trusted in a justice far deeper than human eyes could see. When the Romans destroyed their home around 70 CE, the community vanished. Yet they had already hidden their precious scrolls in nearby caves, including Enoch, as if they knew future generations would need these ancient words, these glimpses beyond the veil. Unknowingly, they saved a vital link in the chain of wisdom. Their hidden scrolls would rest beneath the desert sand for 2,000 years, waiting for young shepherds to stumble upon history's forgotten words. In their quiet, disciplined lives and cosmic worldview, the Essenes remind us just how powerful Enoch's words truly were. It was not just inspiring reading, but a blueprint for a radical community. These were not just ancient legends, but urgent news from beyond the stars. Banned for a reason, the Church Fathers versus Enoch. The story of how the Book of Enoch vanished from Christian worship feels almost like a detective mystery. A text once loved and quoted, suddenly gone from the holy books. Why was that? Let us go back to those early church councils, where men in simple robes debated which writings would guide the faithful. These gatherings decided what billions would eventually read as the Word of God. But the Book of Enoch walked a very dangerous line. It spoke of angels who fell from heaven, taught forbidden knowledge, and had children with human women. These were no minor claims. They painted a picture of the spirit realm that many found deeply disturbing. Origen, a brilliant thinker with wild, curly hair, worried about Enoch's strange claims. He respected the book, yet doubted whether it actually came from the ancient patriarch. His doubts slowly spread like ripples across a calm pond. Meanwhile, Tertullian, a passionate North African with a sharp legal mind, defended Enoch. He argued that Noah could have kept it safe through the Great Flood. How can we reject a book that speaks of Christ? He asked his fellow believers. But his voice would not win the day. As the 3rd century arrived, the cracks in Enoch's standing grew wider. Bishop Julius Africanus pointed out serious problems with its timeline. How could Enoch write about events that happened long after the flood? The doubts piled up like autumn leaves. By the time of Augustine and Jerome, Enoch had fallen completely out of favor. These towering church fathers sealed its fate. Jerome, the Bible translator, with his stern scholar's face, declared it apocryphal. With that single word, Enoch was pushed out of the circle of trust. What scared them so much? Maybe it was Enoch's vivid stories of fallen angels. This risked showing a God who could not control his own heavenly court. Or perhaps it was the book's precise cosmic calendar, which some saw as forbidden astrology. The story of the Watchers troubled many leaders. It suggested angels could choose evil and mate with humans, ideas that blurred the line between heaven and earth in ways that felt dangerous. It was simply safer to keep such ideas at arm's length. Enoch also spoke of a Messiah in terms that did not always fit with growing Christian doctrine. As teachings about Jesus became more defined, these visions of the Son of Man seemed too loose, too open to wrong interpretations. Then came another major problem: the Gnostic groups. These spiritual seekers loved hidden knowledge found in secret books. When they embraced Enoch, it raised red flags. Church leaders feared its mystical visions might feed what they saw as dangerous heresy. Imagine a council chamber in the early church. Oil lamps cast long shadows as the men debate. This book speaks truly of angels, one says. But it contains things we cannot prove, another answers. "What about its strange calendar?" asks a third. Nods of agreement around the room seal Enoch's fate. By the time of the Council of Laodicea in 363 CE, the decision was clear. Enoch would have no place in the Bible. The official list of approved books would not include this ancient text that had once inspired so many people. In the East, John of Damascus firmly put Enoch among the books to avoid. In the West, Pope Gelasius issued a decree in 495 CE, listing books Christians were forbidden to read. Banished and forbidden, the Book of Enoch survived in only one place, a remote mountainous kingdom, guarded by rugged peaks and vast deserts. The Ethiopian church kept this sacred text alive. It thrived there like a hidden valley flower, even as it faded everywhere else. What if the early church fathers were wrong? Had they thrown away a piece of heaven? This question haunted believers for centuries as secret groups quietly whispered Enoch's words, keeping his ideas flowing like a hidden river. Meanwhile, Jewish scholars had their own reasons to reject the book. Trying to save their faith after the temple fell, they chose to focus only on the core scriptures. With its wild angels and journeys through the stars, Enoch felt far too strange for such dark times. We will never know if those early leaders read these pages with an open heart. Did they cast it aside too quickly? Was their fear of its strange claims justified? The answer depends on whether you see them as wise guardians or just afraid. Ultimately, the banning of Enoch reveals a hard truth about how religions grow. Every faith must decide which voices to lift up and which to quiet. Leaders build walls around their core beliefs, protecting them from outside ideas that might split the community. When explorer James Bruce brought Enoch back to Europe in 1773, he revived a forgotten debate. The banned book returned like a ghost, demanding to be read once more. The long silence was over. Modern readers now faced the exact same choice that ancient church leaders once did: to embrace these wild revelations or turn away. Let us look at Enoch's strange history of angels and demons. Imagine a world where angels walked right alongside us, and these were not just any holy messengers, but fallen spirits who taught humanity the dark arts of war, makeup, and magic. This is no modern fantasy story. It comes from the Book of Enoch, an ancient text that shaped how we view the spirits between heaven and earth. Before this book, angels were mostly simple messengers. They delivered their news and vanished. But in these pages, they gained complex, detailed lives, complete with names and distinct ranks, and even the power to choose evil. This changed everything. Enoch introduced Semyaza, the leader of the rebel angels. There was Azazel, who taught men to forge weapons and women to paint their faces, and Barachiel, who revealed the secrets of lightning. Each had a specific power and story. Through these tales, the angels stopped feeling like distant stars and became characters who felt almost real. These fallen angels, known as the Watchers, changed how we understand temptation. Unlike Adam and Eve, they were not tricked. They chose their path with open eyes, trading heaven for human touch. Their hunger for women dragged them down from the stars straight into the dust. This story touches something deep inside us, the quiet struggle between duty and desire. When the Watchers mated with human women, they fathered the Nephilim giants who devoured everything in sight until the very earth cried out. They became the ultimate blueprint for monsters in countless legends. Every giant in folklore, every creature too massive for this world, owes a debt to Enoch. But what about demons? Enoch says they are the spirits of dead Nephilim trapped between worlds. Not fallen angels, but the ghosts of their giant children. This single idea planted the seeds of beliefs that still haunt us today, that demons actively hunt for bodies to possess, that they bring sickness, and they whisper lies into willing ears. Look at how Enoch mapped the heavens, placing 7 archangels before the throne of God. Beneath them stood ranks of cherubim, seraphim, and ophanim. This grand structure soon filtered into Jewish mysticism, then Christian art, then modern fantasy and film. Whenever you see ranked choirs of angels, you are seeing Enoch's shadow. The 4 great ones, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, emerge from Enoch as holy warriors. Michael is the great military commander, Gabriel is the messenger, Raphael the healer, and Uriel the guardian of heavenly lights. Each name ends in El, meaning of God. Each fulfills a grand role that later religions would embrace and build upon. Islam, for instance, absorbed these angels into its own teachings. The Quran speaks of Gabriel and Michael. These figures, the angel of death and the throne bearers, all echo Enoch's ancient assembly. Even though Enoch's book is not scripture in Islam, his angels soared freely into its sacred stories. By the medieval era, obsession with angels bloomed like wildflowers after rain. Complex systems mapped the heavenly hosts, building directly on Enoch's foundation. Pseudo-Dionysius created a 9-level hierarchy that shaped Christian thought for centuries. Painters filled church ceilings with clouds of winged figures, all because an ancient scroll once named the stars. But Enoch did more than just name angels. It showed their fall. In that tragic descent, it drew the blueprint for every future story about pride before a fall. Satan's rebellion in Milton's Paradise Lost owes an immense debt to Enoch's description of the Watchers leaving heaven. Jewish mysticism also drank deeply from this well. Kabbalists mapped a universe crowded with spiritual forces using Enoch to navigate the heavenly realms. The Zohar, that masterpiece of Jewish mysticism, carries deep currents that first began in Enoch's ancient stream. When early Christian monks went into the desert to fight demons, they brought ideas born in Enoch's pages. The spirits they fought, lustful, lying, and desperate for flesh, matched what Enoch described centuries earlier. Every exorcism, every prayer against evil spirits still echoes his ancient words. Look at our modern legends. The fallen angel is everywhere now, from comic books to TV shows, from novels to video games. These grand, dark figures fill our stories, tempting us, teaching forbidden secrets, and aching for the heaven they lost. Every single one carries a spark from Enoch's fallen angels. Even UFO believers tap into this when they claim aliens bred with humans to make hybrids. They are just telling the Watcher story in a new outfit. It looks like science fiction, but the bones are exactly the same. Guardian angels watching over children, demons testing saints, and cosmic wars spilling down onto our world. All these images in our art and prayers have roots in Enoch's fertile ground. We speak his language of angels and demons without even realizing it. Imagine the power this banned book held. Shut out from official churches, it still shaped how billions imagined the invisible world. Like underground water, Enoch's angels and demons seeped into faith traditions wherever they found a crack. Now, as modern readers rediscover these ancient words, those same angels and demons take flight once more. They find new homes in books, movies, and games, sparking fresh questions about what lies just beyond our sight. Hidden and forbidden, Enoch's vision of the worlds beyond never really left us. It just waited, like the stars, for night to fall so it could shine. The Book of Enoch and modern mythology, ancient words often find new life in the most unexpected places. The Book of Enoch, once studied by prophets and saints, now fuels viral internet forums and late-night radio shows. Its wild stories of fallen angels and cosmic secrets feed our modern hunger for hidden truths. When James Bruce brought the first full Enoch text to Europe back in the 1700s, he could never have guessed how it would grow in modern soil. Today, this old book feeds a whole garden of new beliefs. Some are wild, some grand, some dark as midnight. Listen to late-night radio on a quiet evening. You might hear callers talking about the Nephilim, those half-angel, half-human hybrids from the texts. In these modern stories, they never actually died in Noah's flood. They are still walking among us, pulling strings from the dark. An ancient text turns into a modern conspiracy with just a few small tweaks. UFO hunters point to Enoch with knowing smiles. His journey into the heavens, carried by angels to see the stars, sounds exactly like an alien abduction to them. To them, his complex calendar and star knowledge prove contact with advanced beings. When Enoch writes of fiery chariots and glowing wheels, they hear the hum of a spacecraft. Ancient astronaut theories thrive on Enoch's stories. The Watchers become alien visitors who shared advanced technology way too soon. Their punishment explains why they left, and those giant Nephilim prove alien DNA. Even Enoch's sudden disappearance when God took him and he was no more is read by some as a permanent alien abduction. Online boards buzz with talk of Enochian magic. Though it has very little to do with the actual book, this system claims to use the angelic language from his cosmic travels. Created by John Dee back in the 1500s, it draws in seekers who believe Enoch brought back keys to cosmic power. New Age bookshops pack their shelves with guides on Enochian wisdom. Books on crystal healing energy work and astral travel all claim the old patriarch as their source. His 7 heavens turn into chakras, and his angelic tongues become mantras. The banned book finds a new audience looking for self-help instead of salvation, while doomsday prophets love Enoch's visions of the end times. His intense end-of-the-world drama with falling stars, cosmic fire, and final judgment fuels endless prophecies of doom. Every new crisis becomes a sign that Enoch's clock is ticking closer to midnight. YouTube channels with millions of views break down Enochian cosmology. They map out his flat earth, with its dome gates for the sun and moon and pillars of heaven. Some viewers do not see ancient myth here. They see a hidden truth about the world's shape, covered up by modern science. Meanwhile, Nephilim skull hunters head to South America and the Middle East, looking for giant bones. When museums show off elongated skulls, which were actually just shaped by ancient head-binding customs, Enoch's modern followers see proof of angel-human hybrids. Pictures spread across social media with breathless captions yelling, "Nephilim found." The fact that Enoch was banned only feeds the fire. People love forbidden secrets. They wonder why the church would hide this book unless it held dangerous truths. The ban itself created a mystery that modern seekers find impossible to resist. Even white supremacist groups warp Enoch's stories for dark, hateful purposes. In their hands, the pure heavenly bloodline is twisted into a symbol for racial purity. The fallen angels mixing with humans becomes a warning against racial mixing. It is terrifying how easily ancient texts become tools for modern hate. Yet not all modern Enoch myths are so dark. Comic book artists and fantasy writers tap into his wild imagery to build worlds of wonder. His 7 archangels, his cosmic voyages, and his heavenly books all find new life in stories that respect the source while creating something totally fresh. Game designers build digital heavens and hells using Enoch's blueprint. Players guide angels through levels inspired by his 7 heavens fighting demons born from his writings. The ancient vision is now virtual reality, reaching young minds that would never actually read the text. Even some modern Christians look to Enoch to solve confusing biblical puzzles. Why did Jude quote him? What did Peter mean by spirits in prison? This banned book fills in the blanks of standard scripture. Bible study groups meet online, finding keys to unlock scriptural secrets in Enoch's pages. Even Jewish mystics still drink from his deep well. In modern Kabbalah, his journey through the heavens maps out a path for the soul. Becoming the great angel Metatron, he offers hope for human transcendence. Ancient visions become modern practice, easily. Even academic circles feel Enoch's magnetic pull. Scholars who once ignored his texts now search them for ancient clues. His star charts help date events from the deep past. His end-time visions show how our doomsday ideas grew. This banned book is now historical evidence sometimes cited by climate activists. He warned of nature rebelling against human sin, touching on our deepest modern ecological anxieties. His angels weeping for a broken earth echo our own grief over melting ice and rising seas. Yesterday's warning becomes today's urgent plea. In quiet yoga studios and meditation retreats, teachers sometimes use Enoch's 7 heavens to guide inner visualization. Every stage becomes a new state of mind. The ancient cosmic voyage becomes a path for inner travel. Legends change. They change their skin, speaking to every generation in its own language. Enoch's wild visions of fallen stars and deep secrets and worlds beyond find a voice in our age of spaceflight and quantum physics. What would the ancient scribe think of how we use his words? Would he recognize his visions in our stories of aliens and conspiracies? Maybe he would just smile. True legends never die. They only change clothes to walk among us unseen. Enoch's long shadow falls on books, movies, and the stories of pop culture. They sink deep into our minds, shaping how we see the world. His book, with its fallen angels, cosmic secrets, and giant offspring, has cast long shadows across our culture in ways both seen and unseen. Walk into any bookstore, you will find shelves packed with stories of angels choosing love over heaven. Romance novels where winged beings come down for mortals, thrillers where ancient secrets reshape history, or horror stories about monstrous children born of unholy unions. Every single one owes a silent debt to these forbidden scrolls. J.R.R. Tolkien knew the Book of Enoch well. His world of Middle-earth echoes its haunting themes. The Istari wizards sent to guide Middle-earth mirror Enoch's watcher angels. The tragic fall of Numenor directly recalls the doom of the Watchers. Seeing stones that show far-off visions echo Enoch's windows to heaven. Even Tolkien's creation myth in the Silmarillion, with its majestic music of the angels, plays notes from Enoch's cosmic song. H.P. Lovecraft never named Enoch as an influence, yet the connections are obvious. His Great Old One's cosmic terrors, too massive for human minds to grasp, are much like Enoch's watchers. Both lie bound deep underground, waiting to rise. Both gave forbidden knowledge to humans. Both spawned monstrous children. They walked the early earth. In Lovecraft's cosmic dread, Enoch's ancient terrors find a new voice. Milton's Paradise Lost, that epic poem of heaven and hell and the great fall in between, draws heavily from Enoch's book. Satan's journey through the cosmos mirrors Enoch's flight. The fallen angels lusting for mortal women echoes the Watcher's sin. Even the war in heaven plays out just as Enoch described, with rebellious angels cast down by divine power. On screen, Enoch's shadow stretches even further. When you watch angels fall in love in City of Angels or fight demons in Constantine, you are seeing Enoch's themes brought to life with Hollywood flair. Movies like Noah and Legion borrow directly from the book's visions of judgment and giants. The hit show Supernatural wove Enoch's lore throughout its 15 seasons. Angels with specific names and ranks, a cosmic war spilling onto our world, and forbidden secrets handed to humans. These key plot points flow straight from Enoch's well. The show even used a physical Book of Enoch to open doors between different dimensions. Even Superman carries a piece of Enoch's legacy, a star-born traveler with powers far beyond human limits. He is the modern version of a Watcher. His inner struggle mirrors those angels torn between the heavens and our world below. Video games drink deeply from Enoch's well. The Diablo series features fallen angels and their half-demon children fighting over a world caught in the crossfire. Bayonetta floods the screen with angels and demons pulled from mystical texts, with many tracing directly back to Enoch's descriptions. Gamers who never heard of the book play out its stories, controllers in hand. Comics and graphic novels show Enoch's stamp clearest of all. Neil Gaiman's Sandman series features fallen angels whose struggles closely mirror the Watchers. Mike Mignola's Hellboy battles beasts born of unholy unions. Divine meets human. Countless illustrated comics about holy wars between heaven and hell trace their roots directly back to Enoch. In music, Enoch's themes echo through endless songs. Heavy metal pioneers like Black Sabbath sang of the Watchers, while folk singers tell tales of angels choosing earth over heaven. Even mainstream pop music sometimes whispers of the fall from grace Enoch wrote about so vividly. Modern fantasy epics like Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials borrow Enoch's cosmic layout, with multiple worlds linked by thin spaces, beings of light rebelling against authority, and cosmic dust holding mysterious power. Every single one echoes the forbidden book from centuries ago. Even children's fiction feels Enoch's pull. Countless young adult novels feature half-angel heroes discovering their hidden powers. These Nephilim heroes, though, seldom called by name, fight in great battles between good and evil, just like their ancient ancestors did in Enoch's pages. Role-playing games frequently build their settings on Enoch's ideas. Dungeons & Dragons features complex planes of existence that mirrors Enoch's 7 heavens. The World of Darkness games feature angels and demons with hierarchies that any Enoch scholar would recognize instantly. Gamers play these legends without knowing their source. Meanwhile, horror films about possession pull directly from Enoch's idea of wandering spirits hunting for human hosts. When a movie shows a demon trying to claim a body, it follows the exact path laid out in Enoch's description of the Nephilim's restless ghosts. But his influence goes far beyond borrowed plots. The ancient book shaped how we think about cosmic justice itself. It revealed a universe where evil eventually faces judgment, not just in this life, but in the next, a belief that became bedrock for Western thought. Its focus on hidden knowledge still shapes our fiction today. From Indiana Jones seeking the Ark to National Treasure hunting for secret maps, our stories constantly suggest that truth lies just beneath the surface, waiting for the worthy. This concept comes directly from traditions like Enoch, where divine secrets were revealed only to chosen prophets. Perhaps most of all, Enoch gave us our modern concept of apocalypse. It is not just an ending, but a grand unveiling of truth, a pulling back of the cosmic curtain. Every dystopian tale, every end-of-the-world movie, and every story where hidden power structures are finally exposed owes a debt to how Enoch framed his visions of the end times. The banned book even shaped how we picture heaven and hell, the concentric circles of punishment, the ranks of angels, and the throne rooms of the divine. These vivid images in our art and literature took shape in books like Enoch long before they entered the wider culture. That is the true power of ancient myths. They do not die just because religious authorities reject them. They simply change shape, flowing into new channels to feed new fields. Enoch's visions of cosmic order and chaos, of beings caught between two worlds, of secrets hidden and revealed, still shape the stories we tell around modern-day campfires. But what if Enoch had remained in the Bible? Let's play with time for a moment. Imagine a world where the Book of Enoch was never banned, where it sits nestled between Genesis and Exodus in every standard Bible. A world where children learn about the Watchers alongside Noah and Moses. How would that world differ from our own? In this alternate reality, the boundary between angels and humans blurs. Churches teach that heavenly beings once walked among us, took human wives, and revealed divine secrets. The hard borders separating heaven and earth, so absolute in our major religions, grow misty and thin.
Sunday school lessons teach the story of 200 angels who gave up heaven for love.
Preachers discuss Semyaza and Azazel right alongside Gabriel and Michael. Kids draw pictures of the Watchers, teaching early humans to forge swords, craft mirrors, track the stars, and cast spells. In university theology departments, scholars spend their whole careers studying Enoch's detailed cosmology. His unusual calendar, with its 364 days and solar portals, becomes just as widely known as the Genesis creation story. Diagrams of his 7 heavens hang on classroom walls, where we would usually hang maps of the solar system. Art in this world looks vastly different too. Renaissance painters do not just paint serene angels delivering messages. They depict the fall of the Watchers, the rampage of giants, and Enoch's journey through the crystal halls of heaven. Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel might show God commanding archangels to bind the rebels deep underground. The cosmos itself feels different to people here. They grow up seeing stars as living beings who can sin and face trial. They learn that earthquakes and volcanic eruptions are actually fallen angels thrashing beneath mountains, pulling at their chains. The line between myth and science stays blurry much longer. History takes a completely different turn. The early Christian Gnostics, who loved Enoch's mystical visions, might never have been pushed to the fringes of the church. Their focus on hidden knowledge and heavenly journeys might have become mainstream theology instead of heresy. Christianity might have kept far more of its original mystical roots. Jewish mysticism would look entirely different too. The Kabbalah, with its mapping of divine worlds that mirror Enoch's heavens, would not seem like a late addition to Jewish thought. Instead, it would look like a natural outgrowth of texts always at the heart of Judaism. The very idea of Holy Scripture would shift with Enoch included. With its wild claims accepted, other lost books might have found a home in the Bible too. The Gospel of Thomas, the Shepherd of Hermas, and the Pistis Sophia might still be widely read. Holy libraries would be far thicker, crowded with voices once silenced. Would faith in this world be stronger or weaker? On one hand, Enoch's high-stakes cosmic drama might have kept more people engaged with the faith. On the other, his wild claims might have made the entire religion look less believable to modern minds. Perhaps both would be true, depending on the person. Angels would play a much larger part in daily faith. If the Watchers could fall because of bad choices, then the angels still serving in heaven might feel closer to us beings with free will who chose to stay loyal. Prayers might address them much more directly, asking for wisdom from those who stood firm while others fell. The idea of fallen angels teaching forbidden knowledge would change how cultures view learning itself. Would science face more resistance, seen as tampering with secrets angels were punished for sharing, or would it receive a religious blessing, viewed as completing what the Watchers started? Different branches of faith might choose different paths. Our modern myths would grow from very different soil, with no need to constantly rediscover and reinvent Enoch's banned ideas. Would our stories about vampires, alien abductions, and superheroes look completely different? We might not need to disguise ancient myths as new sci-fi inventions. Even political movements would find different biblical backup. Enoch's vivid vision of divine justice, where the powerful answer for hurting the weak, could have sparked massive movements for social change. Pictures of mighty kings and rulers being thrown down from their thrones would surely inspire anyone fighting against oppression. Even our care for the earth might look different. Enoch describes the ground itself crying out to heaven because of human greed. Seeing nature as a living thing that suffers and speaks might have forced ancient believers to care for the earth much sooner. Maybe the divide between faith and magic wouldn't be so vast. In Enoch, angels teach people astrology, herbalism, and deep secrets. If these ideas had stayed in our holy books, the bitter clash between religion and the occult might have been much gentler. Even the way we hope would be different. Enoch's vivid descriptions of a world rebuilt after death bring real comfort, while his named angels guarding the winds and stars give a face to nature. His 7 heavens give us a map of the afterlife. Suddenly the spirit world feels much closer and much more real. We can't really know how these small shifts would ripple through history. Maybe in some other world, someone is writing an article asking, what if Enoch had been banned, looking at a world like ours and wondering how it happened? This question really matters because it shows how powerful these religious choices are. Deciding to keep or cut a single book shaped how billions of people view the universe. It shaped art, literature, and psychology and politics in ways we are still discovering. But even though Enoch was banned, it never truly died. Just like the Watchers, it lived on at the edges of our world, whispering secrets to anyone who would listen. Left out of the Bible, it still shaped how we dream, how we fear, and how we imagine the cold space between the stars. And today, as more people find this strange, lost book, its journey goes on. Once again, readers walk with Enoch through the crystal halls of heaven. Once again, they hear the earth cry out against human greed. Once again, they watch angels fall for love and face divine justice. This book reminds us that truth does not die just because leaders reject it. It just waits, like a seed in dry ground, waiting for the right moment to grow again.